Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi semua. Good morning everybody. Can you all hear me?
Boleh dengar.
Okay.
Yes.
Sebab hari ni saya guna iPad, saya takut tak dengar pula. Kadang-kadang dia slow sikit. Alright. So let me check the participant. Okay, it is 9 a.m. So we'll start now. Thank you everybody for attending the CDE seminars, webinars, all right, for today. So today we have Dr. Fazila Amzah for Learning Theories Part 2, Constructivism and Connectivism. Okay, last week we had, for those who had attended the last week's session with Dr. Fazila, Dr. Fazila had shared with us Learning Theories Part 1, which was Behaviorist and Cognitivist. Okay, Cognitivism. All right. So if we can remember about behaviorist, what I can recall about behaviorist is from my own experience when I was in primary school. You know, my teacher was really a behaviorist, Mr. Ma, teaching mathematics. You know, he always brought a cane to the classroom. You know, if you don't memorize any mathematical things, tak hafal sifir ke apa, you know, you will be like having a rotan, okay, sebab tak hafal. So that was stimulus and response. Okay, so you know, the teacher gave us stimulus and then we respond. You know, sebab takut di rotan and all that, we memorize the mathematical sifir and so on. So that was, you know, something to do with a behaviorist. However, now we don't do negative stimulus anymore. Okay, we try not to do negative stimulus, but we try to provide positive stimulus, such as giving some good you know, experience, good stimulus to the students, right? Good motivation and so on. All right. So for today, we are going to look at another two, which are constructivist and connectivist. All right. This is connectivist is the most recent learning theory related to technology and so on. All right. So before I'll pass the screen to Dr. Fazila. So I would like to just introduce a little bit about Dr. Fazila. Dr. Fazila Amzah is a senior lecturer in the School of Educational Studies, USM. All right. So she had been teaching in USM for 13-14 years now. All right. And then she actually had received the award of the most popular lecturer nominated by students, right, for more than 3 times in a School of Educational Studies Hari Guru. So she is very popular, you know, and the students like her very much. Okay, and then she actually was the recipient of the Anugerah Pendidik Sanjungan USM 2017. All right, so without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Fazila to share with us Learning Theories Part 2, Constructivist and Connectivist. Before I forget, please, if you have any question, type letter Q in the chat box. All right, and we will share a link to the feedback forms 30 minutes, at the end of the webinar, and is active for 30 minutes only. So, Dr. Fazila, the screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Alhamdulillah, again another session from me. Rabbi syarah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. Hopefully I could share my experience. Okay, I could share some of my knowledge, the practices. Okay, with all of you, and I would also like to listen from all of you also, because we are not only learn from ourselves, we can also learn from others. So hopefully to hear, okay, so this is, I consider this is more a sharing session. Not I am giving lectures, but we are actually sharing a session. So thank you to CDE for arranging marvelous series of webinar to all of us, the academic staff. So inshallah, I'll try my level best. So Prof. Arhan, we would like also to hear from you, Prof. Chow, and more other seniors lecturers here. Hopefully they could also share with us. Okay, today's lecture is this is the second part of the webinar. The first part is like what Dr. Azida just wrap up just now. Last week, focusing more on the behaviorism and cognitivism. And the second part today is more on constructivism and connectivism. I divided this learning theories into two parts, because the first part is more focused on student, more focused on the teacher. It's more teacher-centered approach, and the second part is more on student-centered approach. That's why I divided these two series of lectures. So hopefully all of us could get like clear idea about the shift in the learning theories. Okay. So as I told, this today's is focusing more on the constructivism and connectivism. So by looking at the pictures, I hope we could have like some idea, grab some ideas on what is constructivism and connectivism. Construct from the word construct, connectivism from the word connect, like last week lectures. Behaviorism is from the keyword behaviorist. Cognitivism is from the keyword cognitive. So behaviorism is where the psychologists believe in order to achieve the learning outcome, the learning goal, the instructor should modify the learner's behavior by giving a right stimulus in order to get right response. Okay, so that's where the uh, reward system are applied in behaviorism. But then the psychologists do not agree. Some of the psychologists are not agree with the behaviorists, because because they have the thinking that the student have their own set of mind, you know. Mind is like a computer. So the process of learning is not from the behavior modification, but instead something that happen in the cognitive of the student. So this group of psychologists believe in order to achieve the learning goals or learning outcome, you need to structure the mental map of the student. That's where all the learning mental strategies apply in connectivities, where we are using all the visual aids, the mental map, peta pemikiran I think coming in, the government implement the peta pemikiran I think, because they believe, this group of psychologists believe that the information, how we receive the information, how we store the information is very important. So we need to use certain mental strategies, activities to help the student to receive, to structured information, only then they can retrieve back the information. So it's more long-term memory for the student. And then that's where, because the world of education is changing, and then coming again another school of thought, which is a constructivist. The constructivist people believe, have different view of learning, like also the connectivism. So this is something that we would share today: constructivism from the word construct, and connectivism from the word connect. So also, before I start my lecture, I would like to highlight the purpose of today's sharing. So at the end of the session, I hope that all of you could discuss the theories of learning. If last week you have like 2 theories, so for today, after listening and having this sharing webinar today, I hope you have in mind the 4 different learning theories. So you could discuss, you have some ideas on what this learning theory is all about. What are the main learning theories in the education? Okay, identify, okay, specifically for today's lecture, okay, for today's sharing, I hope all of us could identify special characteristic of constructivism and connectivism, and also plan an instruction based and constructivism and connectivism. I will also share which I feel the constructivism and connectivism approaches that I did in my class. Okay. So the features of the topic, again, I will explain about what are actually the constructivism and connectivism. Why these two theories important for learning, and actually how to how these two learning theories influence on teaching. So how we could plan our instruction based on these two learning perspectives. Okay, before I start my sharing, I would like to actually hear from all of you. Could Wani bring up, attach the link of Padlet, the Padlet one. So I would like, if I call name, I'm afraid that nobody answers. So better is very good for all of you to actually. I would like to hear your own view of what do you understand about constructivist learning theory. So Wadi will share the Padlet. I would like to actually, so we could actually see what other people's perspective on this. Okay. Boleh Wani?
Share link dekat chat. Nak buka ke?
Yes, bukakan.
Okay, sekejap
Okay, could you please write something in mind? What do you understand about constructivism? Anything to do with constructivism, how you construct your class, how you believe students construct their own knowledge, okay? How you plan a constructivist learning approach in your lectures, in your class activities. I would like to actually have some ideas from all of you. Experiential learning, Prof. Farhan, okay. Okay, maybe we can hear Prof after this. Okay, I would like you all to share in the Padlet. Boleh Wani? Alright. Construct. Okay. To construct and feature of reality of individual discrete building blocks. That's presupposing. Okay. I would like to see views from other people also. What can you say? What anything to do with constructivist? How you feel the best approach that student can construct the meaning? Okay. I always empower student in my class. Okay. The word empower, we can also ask other people what they understand about empower. Okay. Dr. Azida. Who else I would like to hear, please, class? Yes, Dr. Salman, we would like also to see your view. Okay, what do you think about constructivism? How to construct, meaning how do you think the student can construct meaning? What is actually the best teaching strategies to help students to construct meaning? Okay, come on. Making sense of their, okay. Experiential learning. Students use technology tools to connect new information to their prior knowledge rather than to passively receive information. And connect to expected learning outcome, okay. Experiential learning and connect to expected. Okay, some more. I would like to see more. So in our teaching, this is what we should start with. You know, instead of start our lectures by straight away giving lectures, is good to know what student know. Okay, so we will start our lecture based on what they know, not from what we want to teach. It's good in education. This is what we always stress to our students. Bila nak mengajar, it's good for them to know pengetahuan sedia ada budak. What the student already know. Because if we start our lectures by connecting from the student, our student prior knowledge and what we want to teach, the learning will happen effectively. So when the student could connect what they already know and our next lesson, they contribute to a more meaningful learning experience for the student. Okay, student-centered learning, teachers as facilitator, okay, problem-based, use their knowledge and be resourceful to solve the problem, articulate what they know, making sense of their experiential learning, use technology, empower student construct. Okay, Dr. Zida, what do you mean by empower student, Dr. Zida? I think other people would like also to hear what is empower.
Okay, for me, when I empower my students, during class, actually, when I go to my class, I actually ask them question first. Okay, so I ask them question, give them, just one question first, so that they will ponder on their previous knowledge and so on. Okay, and then I'll just give a little bit of explanation. Then I'm going to give them some activity based on the topic that I discuss in the class. And when I do that, I empower them to search for new knowledge. All right, they are going to search, they are going to construct the knowledge, they are going to do the activities, and they are going to look for the new knowledge that based on the topics. So at the end, they will present the findings to me. Then I will try to support them with, if they have there are some misconception and so on. So I will support that. But I empower them to look for the knowledge. I empower them to construct the knowledge, okay, first. And then from that particular experience, I support with whatever I think is misleading or need to be enhanced from their knowledge. That is my, what I did in my class. So
All right,
empower.
Okay, Prof. Farhan, you want to say something, Prof. Farhan? How you help your student to construct their knowledge, Prof?
Okay, sorry, I pakai iPad ni. Padlet ni I do not know how to put my name there, but I need to learn from Azida. But anyway, problem-based learning is one way that we can perhaps make full use of this theory. I feel. For example, I teach road safety, for example. So in one of my classes, I showed them a video of a crash, and from that video of that crash, I will ask the student to describe the crash, and then to actually look into the different components contributing to the crash from engineering perspective and from non-engineering perspective. From then, I built it with lectures to explain the theory behind the crash and so on. But starting with a problem base, I think the student would be able to be more imaginative in their approach. I've tested non-problem based, where we just give perhaps more on the cognitivism approach. I feel the problem base is much better. The only problem is my other point, making sense of their experiential learning tu. Kadang-kadang student kita ni, dia go through it and enjoy it as an experience. So we need to bring them back to how that experience link to the learning outcome. Itu je komen saya. Thank you.
Yes, Prof, I could pick up some point from Dr. Azida and also Prof. Farhan. The keyword from Prof. Azida is the empower teaching, which is when we shift from student-centered to from teacher-centered to student-centered, we actually empower the student. So the first keyword is empower the student, and the second one is like what Prof. Han just mentioned, the problem-based learning. Okay, because when you give problem to the student, they need to solve the problem. That's where they were using like what Prof. Han did. He will show video to the class. Okay, so basically all of us have the mental image and about accident, you know, that's the schemata in our mind. We have this already. This is our prior knowledge, previous knowledge. So Prof. Farhan need the student to actually discuss in different perspective by giving some extra information in his lectures. So he is actually adding up new information. So this new information working together with the previous knowledge of the student in the mind of the student, and they were working collaboratively to solve the problem in order to answer this question. This is how the constructivist learning approach in the learning setting. Okay, Wani boleh stop screening. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, saya share semula saya punya screen. Okay, so we heard some of it started with two views from two experts, Prof. Farhan and Dr. Azida. Hopefully it could drive the discussion. These are basically the keywords of today's sharing. Okay, before start also, I would like you all to watch this constructivist learning approach by again teacher Tony. Okay, Wani boleh mainkan YouTube untuk teacher Tony yang pertama YouTube 1 tu. Okay, I would like to you all to watch this video. Okay, grab some of the keywords from this video.
Pergi dulu masuk dalam chat boleh ke doktor sekejap
Okay. Saya boleh try share juga. Boleh ke Wani?
Live YouTube juga sekejap.
Okay, ya, live YouTube.
Doktor boleh tolong share ke?
Saya cuba. Saya pun pakai iPad ni sebenarnya sebab pakai komputer dia jenuh nak loading tu yang saya buka iPad. Malam tadi try dah, okey dah. Boleh. Saya nak tanya, boleh nampak ke semua orang? Can you watch the video?
Boleh nampak.
Alright, okay.
Meet Teacher Tony. Teacher Tony is having difficulty engaging his students in learning about resource sustainability and waste. His current curriculum doesn't build communication and collaboration skills or promote critical thinking and problem solving. He feels his students are passive participants in the learning process. Teacher Tony needs help.
I can't get my students to learn higher order thinking skills and problem solving.
Why don't you use constructivism to help transform your teaching so that students are actively engaged with problem solving in meaningful contexts?
What's constructivism?
Constructivism is a learning theory that equates learning with creating meaning from experience.
Huh?
Learning is more meaningful to students when they are able to interact with a problem or concept. Constructivism can help engage and motivate your students by making them take on a more active role in the learning process. Constructivism utilizes interactive teaching strategies to create meaningful contexts that help students construct knowledge based on their own experiences.
Huh?
You've probably seen constructivism at work and didn't even know it. Constructivism is often used to teach higher order thinking skills such as reasoning and problem solving, while also helping students transfer their knowledge to new and different situations. Common examples of constructivism include role-playing or simulating a historical event or time period, debating controversial current event issues and topics, utilizing cooperative learning groups to teach multiple perspectives, and allowing students to engage in real-world activities like internships. Now let's see if we can apply the principles of constructivism to help solve Teacher Tony's problem. First, Teacher Tony must decide how to actively engage his students in the topic. Teacher Tony decides to utilize the idea of problem-based learning to actively engage his students by challenging them to answer a real-world problem. Teacher Tony came up with the following essential question.
How can we reduce waste to help sustain Earth's resources?
Teacher Tony planned the following activities to help students answer the essential question. First, students will tour a local waste and recycling plant to learn firsthand how waste and recycling materials from their community are handled. Next, students will weigh and record how many pounds of food scraps their family puts into the regular trash each day. Then in groups, students will further research solutions to the problems in books, on the internet, and by interviewing experts around their community and the country using the telephone and Skype. Finally, the student groups will determine how they want to demonstrate their solutions to the essential question. Examples might include student-created books, slideshows, and public service announcements about recycling and the 4 R's. These learning artifacts could be displayed to members of the community and parents at a family recycling night. After implementing these principles of constructivism, Teacher Tony's students are more actively involved in their learning by engaging in problem solving, higher order thinking skills, and collaborative work.
Using constructivism really helped engage my students.
If you are wanting to build problem solvers and critical
All right, that's what is constructivism is all about. Okay. So from the video, we could grab some of the keywords again from the what is constructivism is all about. Okay, constructivism started in the mid of 90s. Okay, in response to connectivism. Because constructivism focus on the learner interaction with environment and also with social community around the student. If connectivism is just focused on the learner, but the constructivists believe that the learner is not in a vacuum. They are actually living in an environment where there's a physical environment and also the social environment that had influence on the student. So they believe that the constructivist is more appropriate in helping students to learn. And they believe that learners are actually the makers of the meaning and knowledge. Learner make meaning, okay, by integrating whatever they had with them in their prior and previous knowledge into what the new things they want to learn. There are actually 2 types of constructivism, cognitive constructivism and also social constructivism, which I will explain later. So these are few principles of constructivism. Knowledge is constructed based on the student private previous knowledge, experience, belief, insight. So knowledge is personal. I have my own experience. I have my own belief and insight. Okay, I have my own previous knowledge. So I will construct the meaning of certain things according to what I believe and my knowledge and my previous experience. Let's say about banjir. Okay, I never been in banjir. I'm living in Malacca. Okay, I was born in Malacca, brought up in Malacca, and then did my degree here in USM, and currently I'm working here in USM. So in my whole life, I never experienced of banjir. Never had banjir in my life. Okay, the natural banjir, except for the banjir kilat. So I have my own experience and belief about banjir. My way of banjir is because of the urbanization kan, pembangunan yang tidak terancang, sistem peparitan yang tidak bagus, so maka terjadilah banjir. But when we talk about banjir from the perspective of the orang Kelantan and orang Terengganu tu, banjir is a part and parcel of their life. It happen almost every year, and it just the kadar kebanjiran itu semakin teruk atau tidak teruk. So they have different view of banjir, you know, they have different feeling about banjir. I have different feeling about banjir. So this is what it means by constructivist, where this experience, belief, experience that I have, prior knowledge that I have, okay, helps me to construct about banjir. And for the Kelantanis and the Terengganus, they have different view on banjir. So if we plan a project, we will have like different output from different people. That what it mean why knowledge is personal, because each of us are actually unique, because we are bounded with our own experience, culture, language, competencies. This shapes in our learning. Learning is also contextual. In our context, we always connected to things we already know and what we believe. This is how pendekatan contextual appear. Learning in a context. I remember we had a project with Yayasan Sabah many years back. Okay, one very simple example. We show a gambar chili, you know chili. So kita panggil chili. Some student in some state call lada. So bila kita nak mengajar, when we want to teach the student, we need to use the term that they are very familiar with. Or otherwise, the learning won't happen. But we can slowly introduce a new word to the children. Okay, we had a program with the Yayasan Sabah, okay, helping the schools there. Okay, so when we teach about transportation, it's basically for primary schoolers, okay. So we talk about it's a bahasa. My component is bahasa Malaysia, so we teach about all components in bahasa lah. So one of the topic is about transportation. What it means by contextual, when we show the pictures of tram, train, helicopter to those children in rural area, dia tak tahu about transportation. You want to differentiate kenderaan darat, kenderaan laut, kenderaan udara. So for the beginning, we need to introduce those which is very familiar with the student. Okay, only then slowly we can introduce new things, new knowledge. That's where I will explain later the process of accommodation and assimilation. Okay, happen in the schema of the student. But the most important thing when we want to teach a student, especially the young learners, we need to teach in a context. So they can make connection from their previous knowledge and what we want to teach. Okay, learning is also an active process. Okay, if connectivist, the active process is just in the mind. But in constructivist, because they believe that the students are actually living in a society, they are bounded in environment, not only physical environment, also social environment. So we must consider this social and physical environment, how this social and physical environment shape the student attitude, belief, understanding, knowledge, experience. So that's why learning is an active process, because integration of the student with the environment and with people around them. In order to make meaning, in order to construct meaning, they need to consider all these factors. All right. Learning is a social activity because social interaction is the key to learning. Using conversation, interaction, and group application. I will explain later about the ZPD. How the interaction could boost the potential of the student. Alright, and learning needs to involve activities for the mind and also not just hand, both, like I said, both the hand and also the mind. If the cognitive focus more on the cognitive part, but the constructivist focus both on the physical, on the emotional, on cognitive, psychomotor of the student, and also the social of the student. Motivation is the key to learning. Okay, we need to motivate students. So because we need to acknowledge each student are actually different because they have with them, like I told before, all this experience and previous prior knowledge, okay, their belief, their insight. So we need to value those that have with the student. So we need to actually, when we acknowledge the student, that's why we need, like what Dr. Azida said, okay, she will always prompt the student, okay, asking a question and then receive feedback from the student. If we acknowledge the student, we will acknowledge all the answers from the student. So we empower the student. The meaning is not from us, but the meaning is also from the student. We acknowledge the differences, the diversity of the student. So we acknowledge the answers from the student because we believe each of the student have their own views and there's not always right and wrong answer. Learning is not like mathematics, okay? 1 + 1 is 2, all right? So learning is always a process where we could share, we could assimilate, accommodate the knowledge. Okay. Okay, there are, like I told before, there are actually two types of constructivism. Is cognitive constructivism and social constructivism. Cognitive constructivism is something based on the work of Brunner and Piaget. Learner construct their knowledge through individual personal experience. Okay, knowledge is actively constructed by learners based on the existing cognitive structure. Okay, we will talk about schema, assimilation and accommodation after this. But social constructivism from the word social is a social. So socially situated and knowledge is constructed through interaction with other because of social. So kalau cognitive constructivist percaya knowledge itu berlaku interaction in the head of the learners, but for the social constructivist, pengetahuan itu dibina melalui interaction the learners with environment around the learners. Okay. So untuk cognitive constructivism is an active process of assimilation and accommodation. Like what Prof. Farhan just said also just now, through project based. Okay, kita nak tengok project based ni daripada dua perspektif. Satu boleh tengok daripada cognitive constructivism and also social constructivism. When you ask student to do project, like what Dr. Farhan, Prof. Farhan just mentioned about dia punya kemalangan jalan raya, something like that, right? So in the student have their own mental map about the accident. So the things actually bila dia tengok video tu, dia akan reflect balik tentang apa yang dia ada, and then accident tu sedikit berbeza dengan accident yang dia biasa tengok. So the things happen in the mind. But we could also discuss the accident in our group. Okay, that's why the accident, perbincangan itu not only happen in the mind, but also through social interaction. Because we believe each of the students have their own experience about accident. So one will say about this, one will talk about this perspective. Okay, B will talk about his own experience, D will talk about his own insight about accident. So interaction from a group, members of the group, will help us to build a new concept of accident. That's why I said from the accident tu, kita boleh tengok how it work in a cognitive perspective, how it work from the social constructive perspective. Okay, this is connective constructivist. Okay, these are key term in cognitive constructivist by Dewey and those psychologists that believe in cognitive constructivist. Okay, we have schemata. Dalam kepala kita memang kita dah ada template schemata. Kita memang dah ada schemata. Okay, mental map yang kita dah ada dah. Okay, we believe as true. But along the way, bila kita belajar, okay, look at the picture. Okay, this boy saw an airplane and dia dah ada existing schema about bird. Okay, bird ada wings. Okay, can fly. Bird can fly because of wing. And then the boy saw an aeroplane. Dia nampak ada wing juga. Dan kapal terbang tu boleh terbang. Okay, in social constructivism, like I said, we never deny the role of a teacher, the role of an adult. It just the role had transformed from instructor, those who know everything, serba tahu, to facilitator. So we need these people, the adult, the teachers, the peers to actually help to explain the concept of aeroplane. The aeroplane have some similar characteristic with bird, but unfortunately aeroplane is non-living thing, bird is living thing. Both can fly with wing, but bird is living things, but the aeroplane is not living things. Okay, they are also part of the machine that actually helps the plane to fly. So the process is actually assimilate. Dia assimilate knowledge baru and accommodate. We restructure or modify what we already know so that new information can fit in better. This is constructivist, cognitive constructivist. Pengetahuan kita dalam kepala itu kita assimilate dan kita accommodate. Okay, berdasarkan pengetahuan yang kita ada, our prior knowledge, previous knowledge, with new information and the guide of adult and also the guide of parents, the guide of teachers. Help the student to assimilate and accommodate. Sebab tu like what Dr. Aziza said, during the discussion, she will always interfere. Why? Because dia nak betulkan yang misleading. The student have their own mental map kan? The schemata, okay, this is what they believe as true. So during the assimilation and accommodation process, that's where she will come in to help untuk betulkan those misleading, misinterpretation, misunderstanding of certain concept. This is cognitive constructivist. The social constructivist is belief on the social environment that affect the learning. The social constructivist talk about the ZPD, Zone of Proximal Development. Look at the diagram here. Okay, the blue one in the middle, okay. What I can learn on my own, okay. Saya boleh belajar sendiri without help of other people. This is basically, if according to Bloom taxonomy, aras-aras yang rendah, sederhana. Okay, this is what I can learn on my own. Okay, contoh, okay, in a literature or language learning, okay, dalam Komsas, okay. The student read a text, okay. So from the text, they could identify the character of the character in the novel, okay. They could also identify the plot, okay, the theme of the novel. This is what the student can gain from his own knowledge. This is something that I can learn by my own, I know by my own. So without help of the student, without help of other people, tengok teks tu, saya baca teks tu, I could identify, saya boleh keluarkan, I could list the character, main character in this novel, okay, plot of this novel, okay, I could also identify the theme of the novel, okay. So this is what I can do by myself. But there are certain things in the novel, I need help from other students. I need help from my peers, I need help from my teachers. Okay, let's say, okay, the teacher asks your opinion. What do you think of this novel? How do you think, what should, if you are the main character of in this novel, okay, what happened if this? Okay, we twist the plot of the novel, we twist the theme of the novel. So in order to get more extensive knowledge, this is where the helps of people around, which is peers and teachers, will help the student to discuss better in certain aspect. So ZPD, what I can learn with help ZPD, if according to Bloom taxonomy, is touching for more higher thinking skill, which you need to analyze. In order to analyze a text, okay, in order to synthesis your reading, okay, in order to give your opinion, you may need help from other people. Let's say I'm the only child of the family, okay, and I'm reading a text about adik-beradik who actually they need to share the things, you know, and at the end of the day, they had a fight because they need to share. Okay, I am a single in my family. I have no other siblings. I'm the only one in my family. So I don't understand the concept of sharing, you know, the toys that I have, the food that I have, I need to share with other people. So that's where my teacher could explain, okay, you are not alone in your family. You have your sisters, you have your siblings. Okay, you need to share. Why you need to share? Because you are all brothers, okay. That's because my own experience didn't helps me to make more reasoning towards the text. So I need guide from other people. That's what it means by ZPD. The ZPD is the potential development that the student can achieve through adult guidance in collaboration with more capable peers and support of learning tools. Okay, mungkin kita bagi dia tengok video. So by watching a video about a family, he might understand. And kalau tidak, dia tak faham kan. So this is what it mean by social constructivist. The social constructivist believe, okay, kita perlu ada peers around kita, more capable around people around. Because if we learn by ourselves, okay, kalau saya belajar sendiri untuk markah teacher saya, I may only get about 40 or 50 because some of the aspect I cannot answer, okay. But if I learn with other people untuk nak exam, saya mungkin akan dapat markah jauh lebih tinggi. So the difference between my actual and my potential is what they call as ZPD. That's why untuk constructivist, social constructivist, they believe the impact of people around to actually help. Okay, so sebab tu in constructivism, they believe on the interaction because we learn, like I said before, we are not learn from ourselves. We can also learn from other people. This is social constructivist. So why we need to transform ourselves from cognitivist educators to constructivist educators? Why we need to transform ourselves? Why we need to be constructivist lecturers? Why? Could somebody give something? Filza? Why we need to actually transform ourselves from constructivist to cognitivist, behaviorist to constructivist? Why? Could somebody say something?
To be able to support the learners, better
Okay,
supporting the learners. Yeah.
How, Filza? To be able to support the learners, why? Why you need to support the learners? Why? What this has to do with the learners?
Because I mean, what I can understand from the connectivism is that the teachers can actually try to connect with what are the contents that they're trying to deliver and what was the background or the prior knowledge of the students. I mean, we are
Okay.
doing all the strategies that we know in order to empower them. So my understanding is that in whatever capacity that we have to try to lift up the learners in any way that is possible. So
That's why we need constructivism. All right, Dr. Andika again. Hi, Dr. Andika. Okay, do you have any ideas why we need to transform from cognitivist, behaviorist to constructivist?
Ni maaf saya doktor, saya baru masuk, baru nak
Oh.
nak settlekan sekejap lagi.
Alright.
Ya. Minta maaf sekejap.
No problem, Dr. Andika.
Okay, baik. Alright.
Okay, we have here our dean from School of Education. He is also psychologist. So I think we should actually listen from him, you know, because Prof. Hairul Nizam is a psychologist. So Prof, maybe you could actually explain about the social constructivists, give your view about social constructivists and cognitive constructivists, Prof.
Okay, insyaAllah. Alamak, put me on the spot lah. Malu kat Prof. Farhan. InsyaAllah, connectivism ataupun behaviorism actually focus only on observable behaviors. They actually neglect all the things that not observable, i.e. the mental. So in order to understand human learners in our situation, we have to know both the observable and the non-observable, i.e. the mental. So constructivism, especially the social constructivism, actually focus on that element of how learning occurred through social interaction. So the construction that happen within among learners actually occurs within the social interaction among the students lah. So meaning that for us as educators, we can understand student and fulfill their needs better if we become constructivist educators. Okay, maybe that is the nutshell. Itu saja.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, so if we could reflect from what Prof said, okay, look back at the way we were teach in school. Zaman dulu lah, if you're people about my age, okay, I'm almost 50. And when I look at how my student now in school, okay, when last time, okay, I'm staying in a hostel. Okay, so we always have a prep time, okay, everything is structured, the schedule are structured for us, right? But most of the time, we actually learn by ourselves. Kita belajar sendiri, dalam kelas belajar sendiri, homework buat sendiri. If I could compare my time and compared to my children time sekarang ni bila dia belajar. So, but nowadays in school also, there's a lot of project. There's a lot of group work. Instead of zaman kita dulu. Mana ada group work sangat. Kan? Cikgu ajar. Bagi kerja rumah, balik buat latih to be. Kan? Drilling, exercise, drilling. So sekarang ni also exam oriented. Finally nak tengok grade, berapa SPM dapat, berapa A, berapa ni, nak masuk mana, right? Tetapi the way the learning happen. Zaman dulu, if I could remember, my 5 years in my secondary is basically the teachers explain and very little of group work. Basically, the works are actually done by ourselves. Nanti kadang-kadang kita tak dapat, we just ask friends. Kita punya kiki kanak, macam mana nak buat ni. But nowadays, students in school are all a lot of project work and group work. So I think that, it shows that the world is actually changing, right? The way the learning process is also changing from individual to more to collaborative and group work activities, because we believe, like what Prof said, interaction, it actually helps the student to construct the meaning. So why constructivist in learning? Okay, we are actually dealing with Gen Y. Okay, the Gen Y, who are these Gen Y? If according to Bloom, they have the 3H. The hand, it means the core motor. The heart, okay, and the heart is the attitude and also the hand. So in a learning, we should actually blend these 3H together. Okay, kalau cognitivist focus more on the cognitive part, but in the constructivist, we should actually focus on those, the whole three. So the hand is represent the psychomotor. So that's where in a learning, not only the mental working, but the hand working, which means that the student need to actively involve in the learning through discussion. I mean, dia berbincang, dia bercakap, okay, they need to present, kalau in my lecture or in my tutorial, in a group work, so we could see the class, our student moving. So if the head and the hand work together, so that's why we could also touch the heart of the student. So they can feel the learning. They know they learn for themselves. Dia tahu dia belajar untuk diri dia. Dia construct knowledge dia untuk diri dia. Dia dapat pengetahuan tu untuk diri dia. So the satisfaction is different. Okay, sebab dia sedar bila kita kata okay, kita bagi dia satu projek macam Teacher Tony is a waste project kan. So they came up, finally they came up with their own product. Okay, so they need to present the things. So they have the sense of belonging about the topics. They have this, dia ada rasa ownership kepada apa yang telah dihasilkan. So that's why we need constructivists. So not only to touch the hand, the physical, the psychomotor of the student, not only to touch the head, cognitive dia saja, but we need also to touch the heart. Okay, so barulah kita rasa meaningful, experiential learning happen. And we acknowledge the student rasa dia di-acknowledge, okay, dia akan rasa ownership to the learning. Alright. And the second part, because of all of the student, of the children, macam kita cakap tadi, they have with them their own belief, attitude, prior knowledge, personal experience. So they need to bring this into the learning. So when we have a discussion, okay, like Prof Farhan example just now about the accident, okay. Saya mungkin pernah tengok kereta accident. My friend only pernah menyaksikan motorcycle accident. Okay, one of our friend mungkin pernah mengalami situasi one of the family members, relatives or friends died of accident. So this difference of experience will make a fruitful discussion. So kita akan dapat hasil yang jauh lebih baik daripada perbincangan yang melibatkan pelajar daripada different background, experience and personal insight about the accident. So that's why we need constructivists, because we need to acknowledge each student actually unique. So uniqueness mereka itu perlu diambil kira dalam proses pembelajaran. Ownership, sebab saya rasa bila kita mengajar, which is to touch something about behaviorist also, bila kita panggil budak tu kan we call name. Sebab tu in my class, I try my very hard to remember the student name. So I will always associate student ni macam ni. I remember in one class, saya ada 2 Ashraf. Orang tu putih, melepak. Sekarang ni dah jadi pensyarah dekat PJJ. Ashraf Alves. Saya tak ingatlah nama dia apa. Tapi dia pensyarah dekat PJJ. Kita punya slab juga. He was previously our PPIP student, science education. Now he's teaching maths in, if I'm not mistaken, mathematics in PJJ. Saya panggil dia Ashraf Handsome, and I had another one Ashraf, which is a third Ashraf. So I call him Ashraf Semangat. And Ashraf Semangat also, proudly to tell you all, our graduate also from School of Education, now slept from UUM, doing his PhD now in United Kingdom. Okay, these two Ashraf, sebaik mungkin, I only teach them one paper. It's a compulsory paper for education, PGT 203, because they are science education. I'm not from science education. Only one paper, but because I think I managed to actually touch them, you know, get them involved in the project. Okay, we do project together. Okay, so they can still remember me. So even when they ask for scholarship, they ask me to be their referee. I said, no, I only teach you one course. It's quite hard actually to evaluate you. But they said even one class, but they feel that they have like strong chemistry, they trust in me to give like very authentic report about them. So this is why we need constructivist in learning. The children have prior knowledge, okay, experience, and also the environment factor. Okay, they are living in environment, different environment. Okay, in USM we have students from Kelantan, we have students from Sabah, we have students in Sarawak. Last time, when my time 20 years back in USM, most of the students are actually from Kelantan and from Kedah. I was also a student from School of Education. Kawan-kawan saya banyak daripada Kelantan dan Kedah. Very few number, small number from Sabah and Sarawak. But now, the students are more diverse. We have like almost balanced kan, pelajar daripada banyak negeri. So we need to consider the environment that they carry with them. And we are also living in different environments sekarang ni kan. So in order to consider this in a learning, so that's why we need constructivists. In social world, okay, students are actually bounded with their own family. Like my children, they have 3 sisters. Okay, they are actually 3 of them girls. Okay, imagine a family, imagine a children who actually live in a family, dia ada mak living together with ayah dia and also the nenek and atuk dia. Also duduk sekali dengan pakcik dia dekat situ, and got one brother and got one younger brother. Those social world actually influence them. So kalau kita nak kata dari segi pengkapangan bahasa, kanak-kanak yang terdedah dengan persekitaran kaya literasi, they are exposed to very rich literacy environment. Okay, surrounded by lots of people, but mesti bercakap lah. So it will shape the children language competency. I remembered my experience when my first daughter was very small. Okay, I went to a friend's house. Okay, the daughter is about my daughter's age. Okay, but unfortunately, her daughter cannot speak well. Because why? The mother is Kelantanese and staying with a maid from Indonesia. And the girl is, I think, she's quite confused on what language to use. And I think because of the mother is busy working, the maid is busy with the household. So I think less time spent with the children. So it quite hard for my daughter actually to communicate with her. So it shows that how the social world, the environment had very impact and influence the development of the children. And it could shape also the learning. So language is one of the good example, you know. If you have like good environment, okay, one of my master student did her research about the home literacy environment. the physical environment and psychological environment. The physical environment, we actually observe on the physical things at home. So how many books they have, okay, the reading corner at home, okay, the literacy activity provided by the parents, you know, that one is the physical environment. She also looked at the psychological environment. She observed on how the mother tells story to the children, shared book reading. Okay, so the way the mother tells story to the children is all the verbal and non-verbal cues in telling a story. Okay, the interaction during the storytellings. Okay, so from her research, okay, it shows that it proved that children who are exposed to the home literacy rich physical environment and also psychological environment with a good support of language by the parents score higher in their oral language test. The children have uh, uh, ada apa pembenaran kata dia lebih luas compared to those children yang tak ada, not exposed to, because she counted how many books they have, the learning sudut-sudut pembelajaran yang ada kat rumah, all the learning activities that the parents provide, ada watercolor, you know, I mean the children bila-bila masa nak buat, nak color, nak paint, dia boleh buat. And then buku cerita banyak, and then the mother spend time also to read. So it shows how the environment affect the children. So for those the new young lecturers, I know you are all busy with the KPI and everything, but please spend time with your children because it really affect their emotional, physical, cognitive development. And the Gen Y also is a group of people who are actually more to the challenge-based learning, TBL. Mereka tak suka buat kerja seorang-seorang. Kan? They love to work in group. And kalau kita tengok sekarang ni, kan, looking at my student, they really can work cooperatively. Tak ada rasa dengki, khianat, cemburu, no. They actually back up each other. During the COVID, we had like 3 semester online, right? So they really help each other. So we still can do the group work, even the students are scattered all over Malaysia, but they can still do the group work using all the devices that they have, all the connection punya kaedah kan, Webex and everything. They can work together and they prefer working in group. So this is the Gen Y punya ciri-ciri, the characteristic of Gen Y. That's why we need to apply constructivist e-learning because we are dealing with student. Okay, macam bila kita nak jual barang, okay, if we want to sell barang, we need to look at our customer, right? Okay, I have a bottle of air, okay? I want to sell this bottle of air to different group of people. Satu, saya nak jual kepada Prof. Farhan, those men, okay? Prof. Hairul, okay? Satu botol saya nak jual kepada people like me. Saya, Dr. Azida, okay? A group of ladies. And a bottle I want to sell to a group of the Form 5 students. So in order to make sales, I need to look at my client. Okay, kalau untuk for the men's, I would say that this water got tongkat ali. Alright? So air saya memang laku. But untuk a group of women, at the age of like me, like Dr. Azida, at the age of almost 50 kan, dah nak masuk warga emas, we are concerned about kekenalan kulit lah kan, benda-benda macam tu lah kan, nampak tua lah, wrinkle-wrinkles ni tak nak kan. So kita akan cakap, oh dalam air ni ada collagen. So bila minum, kulit akan tegang. So kalau saya boleh jual air dengan menggunakan ciri-ciri tersebut, air saya akan laku. You know, same water bottle, but two different customer. If I want to sell this water bottle to the Form 5 student, I would say dalam air ni ada vitamin X. Vitamin X is actually good untuk mental condition. So nanti bila kita minum, kita akan jadi cergas, kita boleh berfikir, kita tak letih, because this is what the Form 5 needs. Okay, they need to be alert, dia kena cergas, dia kena cepat tangkap. So this is also applied in our education sector. Bila kita nak mengajar, we have to look at our learners. This is the characteristic of the Gen Y. They are the 3H, they have the prior knowledge, okay, they have experience, they are living in a social world, and are very connected to the environment, They like the challenge-based experience learning. So do we still use behaviorists? Do you think connectivist is the best approach for them? So that's why we need to transform ourselves to be constructivist, because we are dealing with the Gen Y with these special features. Okay, there are actually some other features of the Gen Y, but these are some of the main character of the Gen Y. That's why I think we need to change ourselves to be constructivist instructor. Because learning in constructivism should be meaningful. We help to engage and motivate the student in active learning process by, like Prof. Farhan said, like what Prof. Dr. Azida said, and also Prof. Isaac, project-based learning, problem-based learning. We plan interactive teaching strategies which involve the student in the learning process. Interactive teaching strategies, okay. As what Teacher Tony said also, by mentally and socially interact, we could promote the HOTS and also problem solving skill. Kita boleh promote the higher order thinking, because when they discuss the thing, they will analyze the peristiwa kemalangan itu, they will analyze the things, you know. Mereka akan berbincang. So in order to present the thing, they kena analyze, they kena synthesis, and then they kena represent in different form untuk bentangkan kepada kawan-kawan. So that's where the higher order thinking skill happen in the mind. They need to analyze, they need to recreate, they need to build, okay. The simulation, the accommodation process happen in order to present a new information to the class, okay. So by applying the constructivism, we can create autonomous learners, okay, thinkers, which can question, investigate, and reason. We want a learners who actually can question back, not a passive recipient of knowledge. Terima je macam burung kakak tua. No, but they could question us. This is actually what happened nowadays. Look at our children. Cakap satu, jawab satu. Cakap satu, jawab satu. Cakap satu, jawab satu. Kita pun letih kan. Student nowadays also. Bila kita bagi tahu buat kerja, bagi tahu doktor. Dia dah boleh expect. Okay doktor, kalau macam ni apa jadi? Doktor, kalau macam ni nak buat macam mana? They could predict also what will happen. Kalau dia buat macam ni, kalau dia buat macam ni. So, when I plan activity for my student, I always have plan A, plan B. Siap-siap dah. Bersiap siaga. So, in case they ask me about this, okay, kalau macam ni apa jadi? Kalau macam ni apa jadi? Okay, kita tahu kita nak buat macam mana. So, in order to have a good learning environment, we need to construct our learning environment to constructivist approach. Okay, so how constructivist influence on teaching? Okay, in discuss the how of constructivist, I will give example of what I did for my own course. Okay, this is my course, Kaedah Mengajar Bahasa Melayu. I taught this course 2 years back. Now I'm no more teaching this course. Okay, so this is last 2 semester punya kerja khusus lah. This is the learning outcome of the course. Okay, yang pertama, they can hurai, they can explain the linguistic theory. The second one, they could bina satu pengajaran. Okay, they need to create a lesson. Okay, and the third part is they need to apply, they need to implement. They need to implement the second and the third part is actually continuous. Okay, the first part they need to plan, they need to create. Okay, they need to create the things. Okay, it's one teaching activity, teaching strategies. And the second one, they need to, those that they had created, they need to implement in one classroom setting. So this is like what Coach Tony proposed. I'm doing a simulation, I'm doing a role play, I'm doing a real life experience. So I bring the student to the schools. So we implement in a school in order for the student to construct the knowledge, to get a meaningful learning experience. So this is all about the course. Sorry. So this is what I call as my BM best. This is my project. I call BM best. Okay. BM is best for bestari, electric means you blended things together. S systematic is a systematic way of teaching Bahasa Malaysia. T is tekal, sustain. We want the knowledge to retain and sustain in the student. So the whole process of the DMBAS is, first they need to analyze, okay. Second, they need to build. And third one, they need to implement. Okay, in order to come up with a plan, they need to analysis. Okay, so basically we have, this is the first part. Okay, this is the whole, this is the project that happened throughout the 15 weeks of lesson. Okay, instead of all the lectures and tutorial, we are also doing this. Okay, so I had always extra time entertaining my student for this project. Okay, for this semester, I had like 5 tutorial group. So each tutorial group, I divide into 3 small group. So basically, I have like 10 small group in one big group. So I have like 50 small groups. Okay. So these 5 group I sent to different school in Penang. So that time, 2 schools in Sekolah Menengah Bukit Jambul, 1 school in Sekolah Menengah Bukit Gambir, 1 school in Sekolah Menengah Bukit Geluku, Haji Makno, and 1 school in Sekolah Menengah Sungai Ara. So I sent those people, those students to 5 different schools. Okay, this is the whole the 1 semester planning. Okay, the first is the taklimat about the course lah, the assignment, the lectures and everything, and also our project DMBAS is the part of the coursework. Okay, so the week 3 and week 5 they need to analysis the bahan pengajaran, which I will show later. And then when they analysis, only then they come up, they could be a good module to teach the subject. Okay, because Bahasa Malaysia consists of a lot of things. The tata bahasa sendiri banyak lah, kata nama, kata kerja, kata adjektif, kata sifat, macam-macam. And then karangan lagi, tata bahasa, simpulan bahasa, peribahasa, a lot of that. So that's why I have 50 group. So I divide them. Kecil-kecil itu ada group ni buat peribahasa, ada group ni buat simpulan bahasa, kata nama, kata kerja. Try as much as I can to cover the content of from the curriculum of Bahasa Malaysia. So they need to analysis that, this analysis the curriculum, the sukatan, only then they could banner, and the process of banner and SEMA is a really tiring process. I have like 50 small groups, so the student keep coming, group A datang, group B datang, and because we in education, we receive student, is a cream of cream student to say lah. They came with 4 flat, 3.8, 3.9, so they are highly motivated daripada sekolah rendah dulu. So bila dia masuk universiti tu, they are very concerned about their grade. So when they cut their first time coming and see me showing their module, selalunya saya akan reject and I give grade. This one you punya module ni is like C minus. Level ni C minus je. They will bring bawa balik, they will repair, modify. Datang balik jumpa kita. This is really a tiring process, but I really enjoy doing this with the student, because we want them to have the experience of come up with their own teaching module. But they are going to be teachers. So for me, they are not only rely on the textbooks, okay? Whatever from the government, daripada langit, no. But they need to come with their own teaching module. Okay, so this is, I think, the best time to actually teach them. They could learn the process of come up with the teaching module. And I have 50 groups. So finally, at the end of the semester, we compile the whole thing. So we have like 50 mini module to teach Bahasa Malaysia. So from the course, they are not only get their grade, but at the end of the year, at the end of the semester, they could also bring back a booklet of 50 mini module. Is from the work from other people. I always told them, buat satu saja, the 49 is other people buat. So you buat baik-baik satu, you will get the 49 bagus. So kalau semua orang fikir macam tu, I want to help myself, I want to help my student. So we get like 50 very mantap module lah. So it's a process of SEMA. And then bila saya dah puas hati semua, we plan a date and then we go to school. They are not only do the module, but they could implement the module in a real world setting, in a classroom setting. So asking permission from the pengetua sekolah. So luckily I have like few sekolah which is very good. So I don't have to go through Jabatan Pendidikan lah. Jabatan Pendidikan pun kata, okay, if small project, you can just proceed. And then in this 2 weeks time, because I have like 4-5 group, because I need to monitor the project in each of the school. So kita schedule lah. So I could monitor the whole 5 project in 5 different schools. And then at the end of the semester, each of the group will have a week that we present. The purpose of doing the presentation, because we are doing this in different school. I want a student from school A listen and see what the school B did, what the school C did. So this is the purpose why I need to do the presentation at the end of the semester, because like I told before, we are not learn from ourselves, we could also learn from other people. So they could see how their friends in other school doing the project. So we could also share the challenge that all the student, all the group facing, because different school, different environment, okay. Because I have sekolah menetap Bukit Jambon, which is a school, okay. I have also school which is middle class, right? So we could share experience of the student from, doing this project in different type of school. So this is the first phase, analysis. Okay. The analysis is, this is the sukatan by the kementerian. They need to analysis this. Okay. And from analyzing this, they would come up, okay, with this module. Okay. There's always a base lah, bukan buat modul tu daripada langit, tiba-tiba from vacuum. They need to analysis the content. So they tengok sukatan bahasa Malaysia, and they need also to analysis the content bahasa Malaysia. Okay, I'm going to do a peribahasa, but in order to do the peribahasa, I need to refer to this curriculum first. Okay, I need to refer to DDSKP, KSSM Bahasa Melayu Sekolah Menengah. Oh, I'm going to do karangan. I need to also refer to this. So most of the students, they need to analyze two things. One is the curriculum itself, and second of the content of the subject. Okay, I need to ajar kata nama. So I need to analyze the content of kata nama. Okay, golongan kata kalau dalam bahasa Malaysia terbahagi kepada kata nama am, kata nama khas. Kata nama am pecah lagi, kata nama am hidup, kata nama am tak hidup. Kata nama khas hidup, kata nama khas tak hidup. Kata nama khas hidup, Godzilla, I'm a living thing. Kata nama khas tak hidup, University Science Malaysia, not a living thing, like that. So they need to analyze the content, because if they can analyze the content, only then bila kita dah jelas dengan struktur, that's why the connectivist coming in. Bila kita suruh dia analyze, that's why the connectivist coming in, because I want them to represent the content in a visual infographic, so they could see the whole picture clearer instead of in a text. Okay, so dia kena analysis benda tu dulu, dia kena analysis curriculum. Okay, so bila dia analysis benda tu, only then they can come out with a module. So this is the second part. Okay, this is the second part. Bila dia analysis, only then they can come out with this mini module. Contohnya, kumpulan ini mengajar tata bahasa. Nama permainan dia ialah symbiosis. They create this one because after the analysis, so they understand how to deliver the content. Okay, this one is also tata bahasa. The game name is Apakah Saya. Okay, from the analysis, they create their own mini module. This is the booklet of my mini module, BMS, Gamifying Your Lesson. So kita nak dia gamify. Instead of the teacher explain what is kata nama, they need to do game. Okay, so the school student can learn through games. Okay, so they will build this up. Okay, so kita ada satu modul kita bangunkan. And the third one is actually we implement. This is some of the example lah. I did this in one school in a Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Abdullah Fahim, which is actually in Seberang. This is a request from the school actually. The school request me to come and do project Bahasa Malaysia. So I managed to bring the student 2 buses of my student. So the school provide buses, transportation and food for my student. So we went with 2 buses at the school because we cater the whole form 4. Okay, this is in Nibong Tebal. And this is again another my BMBAS project in my course. PPG 314 is the second part. PPG 214 is first part. Kedah mengajar 1. This is Kedah mengajar 2. How we did this in Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Bukit Jambon. So this is how I apply Constructivist in my teaching. Okay, so hopefully I could share with you all. So macam Prof Farhan pernah cakap dulu kan, constructive alignment, the input, process, output. So we must always refer back to our course outline, learning outcome, and then design the teaching learning activities in order to achieve the learning outcome. Barulah dia boleh jadi outcome based assessment lah. So this is how I implement constructivism in my learning, right? So this is the first part of the lecture. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, if no question, I think we shall proceed to our second part of the series, which is connectivist learning theories. Okay, how you make your student connected? I would like to Dr. Hanafi, Dr. Mazlan Hanafi. Tak payahlah buka Padlet nanti makan masa. Okay, Dr. Mazlan, how you make your student connect? How you connect your student? What is connectivist learning theory to you?
Assalamualaikum.
Okay.
Saya pun tak pasti sangat berkenaan connectivist ni, tapi setakat yang saya faham dia macam mana kita dapat kaitkan apa yang kita belajar dengan suasana persekitaran kita lah, secara tak langsung.
Okay. Macam contohnya macam mana kita kaitkan tu, Dr. Mazlan?
Sebab saya mengajar bahasa. Jadi teori satu yang dalam buku kan, maknanya contohnya kalau kita belajar English kan contoh. Ada English yang dalam buku, ada English yang kita guna setiap hari kan. Jadi dari segi perbezaan, dari segi kesesuaian pemilihan perkataan, pemilihan ayat, konteks tu, semua tu kita kena pandai kaitkan lah. Dan cara kita kaitkan tu melalui latihan, melalui pengalaman, benda-benda macam tu lah. Saya tak langsung.
Okay, Dr. Mazlan. Okay, Dr. Razia. Ni orang kuat CDE juga ni. Okay, Dr. Razia, would you like to say a word about connectivism? Few words about connectivism? Dr. Rat? Dr. Rat? Okay, Dr. Aman. Connect ketiga-tiga sekali. Okay. Macam mana tu Dr. Aman?
Yeah, Prof. I very little knowledge about this learning theory, but I think connectivist is about connecting all of the dots, the behaviorism, the cognitive, and also the constructive.
Alright, so connecting the three. Okay, anybody want to give their opinion? Kan kalau kita panggil Dr. Azida, dia macam dah wrap up lah the whole lecture, you know, because he is really connectivism instructor. Dr. Azida, you would like to say something? It's very simple, short and sweet, Dr. Azida. Otherwise you overrule the whole session of mine.
Tak aci lah pula. Tak aci, nanti saya terover ni.
That's why I cannot call
bagi lecture.
Alright, okay. So at the end of the session, we can call Dr. Azida lah, because this is actually her field. I am very familiar with the first three, not the connectivism. I will tell you now why, okay? So ways to get student connected, okay. Tak apalah, kita dah discuss tadi. Okay, if you like to watch the movie, you want to watch the YouTube video? Tapi saya dah bagi slide presentation ini kepada Puan Wani. So kalau inginkan slide presentation ni, boleh minta pada beliau. Sebab saya sertakan semua link-link YouTube video which explain the concept, a basic concept about constructivist, connectivist, explain about the basic concept. Okay, what is connectivism? Okay, kita cuba tengok video ni. Alamak. Wani boleh paste tak dekat tu? Nanti saya buka link video ni. Tadi boleh pula tu lah bila buat kat iPad ni.
Saya dah share dekat chat, Doktor.
Okay. Teacher Tony, cikgu sekolah rendah. Wait, I need to actually read the comment. Okay. Assalamualaikum, Part 1 Constructivism. Okay, experiential learning, learner centered. Is PBL suitable for is PBL suitable for all courses? Opinion please. I would say yes. I would say yes. Okay. Azwani, okay. Anna, Q, yes. Teacher Tony needs to diversify his video format. Okay. Make your student active, interactive. Cikgu sekolah rendah tak pandai buat video sangat. Jadi macam Teacher Tony attend webinar by Dr. Siti Zuraida. Video lecture 15 minutes. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. Semua jelas. Connect ketika-ketika sekali. Okay. Boleh nampak ke? Boleh nampak ke? Boleh
nampak
nampak
senarai tu. Nampak senarai tu.
Okay, sat.
Share dulu.
Okay. Boleh nampak ke? Boleh nampak tak video sekarang? Can you
Okay.
watch? Can you? Alright. Okay.
Tak ada suara.
Tak ada suara. Tak ada. Dengar tak?
Tak dengar.
Saya cuba. Boleh dengar ke?
Google?
Okay, boleh dengar tak?
Dengar. Facebook? Connectivism, a new theory for a digital age. Connectivism, originally conceptualized by Stephen Downes and Doris Siemens, is a theory that knowledge travels around networks of connections, and learning consists of that ability to form those connections. Simplistically, it's that the pipe is more important than what travels through it. Let's start by meeting Amy. Here's Amy. Hello. Amy's class is learning about the moon. Using social media and the internet, Amy can connect and learn with individuals outside of her classroom from anywhere around the world. Maybe through Twitter, YouTube, Google, Facebook. Connecting with people around the world can bring different perspectives, which encourages critical thinking and in-depth examination of knowledge and ideas. Amy can take those opinions and resources and apply them to what she knows. And the important thing is not for Amy to know everything about the moon, but to know where she can turn to in order to access that information and knowledge when she needs? Who and what communities are there to support her? And to do that, Amy needs help from her teacher on how to make those connections to people, from her life, and to new nodes of information. She needs to make connections between concepts. And the information has got to be accurate and current. Amy needs to understand that what we know can change at any time, and she needs to be prepared to examine and evaluate new information and maybe change what she thinks she knew. In the end, Amy can become a teacher, remixing what she has learned to her classmates and beyond. Through projects, blogs, YouTube videos, hashtags and tweets, and much, much more. Maybe a Powtoon video? So therefore, what Amy learned is important, of course, but more important are the connections she made to herself, her world, other knowledge, and other people.
Okay, video Amy tu ialah tentang Connectivism. Okay, video Amy itu explain tentang Connectivism. So in a way to say that we are actually living in a world that actually connected us to each other. Okay, the Connectivist coming into the world of education due to the education moving towards the 21st century. So we are living in a world where knowledge exists everywhere and is accessed and organized by the learner. Siapa-siapa saja, orang kata sekarangnya semuanya di hujung jari. Dulu, I remember when my school time, kalau kita kata semuanya di hujung jari, kita kata budak tu pandai. Dia ni semua hujung jari, fingertip semuanya hujung jari. Kan? Cikgu kata semua fingertip, sepatutnya nak exam semua fingertip, semua hujung jari. So bila nak exam dia boleh terus daripada jari tu curah atas pen, boleh tulis atas kertas. This is what my teacher always told me when I was in my school time. But now semuanya di hujung jari sebab dengan klik, dengan tekan saja kita akan dapat maklumat. Knowledge exists everywhere. Sebab tu pengetahuan sekarang ni tidak terbatas lah. But the role of the teacher is masih ada. So macam Dr. Azidah kata tadi, we need the teacher, we need to be here, we need to be there in a learning process. Sebab kita nak betulkan yang misleading, misconception, misunderstanding of concept and everything. So the teachers is still there, but kita punya role tu dah bertukar. Instead of being a instructor who knows everything and tuang all the knowledge to the student, but now we just guide the student. Okay, mereka cari maklumat, kita pantau pengetahuan tu. Learning is a process of creating connection and developing a network. Part of learning is considering the value of information. Okay, then yang kita perlu pandu pelajar kita sekarang adalah because knowledge is actually everywhere. And just using jari saja, we can just click and the information is coming. So masalahnya sekarang ni, budak-budak kita ni, the problem of this is actually the copy and paste lah. Kan? So, sekejap lagi kita debate about this. Alright? Okay, learning in the 21st century. But in the 21st century, we need, the 21st century education is about giving students the skill. Because in real life, they need to use back the skill. So, we are not only imposing the knowledge, but also the skill. Kita kena ajar dia because they need to use back the skills for their future life. Kan? Therefore, and also the 21st century emphasize more on how the internet connection, search engine, the 3 semesters of doing teaching online, saya rasa dah transform kita kebanyakan pensyarah to be the connectivist lecturers. Kan? So, sekejap lagi kita bincang lagi lebih. And social network contribute to the new landscape of the learning. Kan? Sekarang ni, sebab tu kalau kita tengok in learning, so in education kan, Kita banyak sangat Facebook group, grup-grup pendidikan ni, grup-grup pendidikan ni. This is where our student also get information. Kalau zaman saya degree, masa saya buat degree dulu in my late 90s, early 20 1994 to 1998, my first degree here in education. So all the information are actually from the lecturers and also from the book. So I try my very best untuk, okay, hebatnya pensyarah dulu, dia mengajar khusus tu dan dia ada buku tu. Masa kita degree lah. So I remember Prof. Ali Ahmad teaching me literature. He got few books of his. Okay, so bila saya ambil kursus ni, saya akan ambil Kesusahan Melayu Nusantara. I will go to DBP and bought the book. So I will have, my knowledge is actually from him, from his explanation and also from the book that he wrote. Okay, Dr. Sharifah Alwi Al-Segaf, she teach teknologi pendidikan. And she got a book about teknologi pendidikan. Okay, Dr. Daud Hamzah, he teach psychology. Dia ada satu buku psikologi warna kuning. And I bought the book. So previously, masa kita belajar, we only get the information from our lecturers and also from their books. And some of the article lah proposed by our lecturers lah in the course outline. Okay, but now, dalam kita punya, in our world of education now, we are not the only source of information. Kita tak bagi information semua. Dan kalau if we are the only source of information, saya rasa kita tak ada kerja lain lah. Nak prepare slide budak-budak ni. The world change already. So the source of information, sebab tu bila kita mengajar, like me also, when I'm preparing the slide, I pick up some, okay, kita browse through and cari the most appropriate, simple, presentable YouTube video. So you are not only getting information from me, but you are also getting information from the YouTubes, okay. I do refer also some blogs, okay, some articles, okay, some journals, okay, and also read some books. So if dulu saya punya kuliah, when I come into the class, I dapat satu-satunya maklumat daripada dia. So I try my very best to buy all the books. Kalau ada buku tu Prof. Ali Ahmad, tengok dalam list of reference, ada buku dia, I'll go and get the books. Because that time the only source of information is actually from the lecturers. But now no more. And this is also I learned. So I did also transform myself. When I first be a lecturer 12 years back, this is what I did. This is what my thinking also. I think that I'm a lecturer. My role is actually to pass information to the student. So I am the lecturer sebertahu. So the student need to get knowledge from me. So I have to give 100% to my student. So I prepare the lecture slide. Okay, photostate the slide for them. So before they come to the class, they have my lecture slide already. So and I give 2 hours lectures and lectures and lectures. So only that in the mid of my teaching, I said, oh, anak pun dah besar masa tu, kerja pun dah banyak. So saya rasa, oh, kalau saya buat macam ni, saya matilah. And I could send something. The student are not listening to me. Masa zaman tu ada berita campus. So during the lecture time, bila kita duduk bagi kuliah tuntang-tuntang kat depan tu, they read berita campus. So I was like, oh my God, they don't listen to me. So I need to do something. If I keep doing this, giving lectures for my 2 hours, giving lectures macam parrot kat depan tu, then kita tanya after 2 hours, kita tanya sebab kita pendidikan 2 hours lecture. So kita tanya, apa yang kita dapat hari ni? I could bet only a few % of the student I think could grasp all the information from that 2 hours lecture. So I started to change the way I teach my student. Instead of giving all the information, and because the world changed, and looking at my children actually, I looking at my children because when they entered the secondary school, bila anak saya masuk secondary school tu, it really opened my mind. So I say I cannot be like this. Because dia balik, dia selalu cakap, Mama, cikgu ni hebat, Mama, cikgu ni tahu ni, cikgu ni pandai. This is what she always told me. So I know dia suka cikgu yang macam mana. So this is my duty, nak hasilkan cikgu yang macam mana yang budak-budak suka. I think the voice of my daughter represent the voice of the student in the school. So saya tahu saya kena lahirkan cikgu macam mana. Okay, this is the needs of nowadays school children. So I need to produce school teachers that cater the needs of the school student. So in order to do that, I need to change and transform myself. So instead of just giving lectures, so I start empower my student. So ada tajuk-tajuk kuliah, contohnya macam I teach tu khusus kaedah mengajar. So bila ajar khusus kaedah mengajar, there's a lot of pendekatan. Kalau dalam buku sukatan tu, there about 19 sukatan. So kalau saya nak ajak, if I have to give lecture about all the 19 pendekatan pengajaran constructivist, mastery learning, modular approach, cooperative, if I need to teach the whole 19 topics, it takes my more than 15 weeks. And I not only have to give lecture about that, I have also to give lecture about writing a lesson plan, assessment in teaching, okay. So one way of doing this is I divide the content to the student and saya vacant satu kuliah where the student during the lecture giving lectures. This is what I did. Okay, so saya ada tajuk-tajuk kuliah, saya tak bagi dah sekarang ni. But I assign certain student, they need to prepare the slide, they need to explain. But before they present to the class, they need to show to me lah, we need to discuss lah. So saya kata yes, saya endorse, bagus, betul. And then they can. So this is what I'm doing now. So my 2 hours lecture sekarang ni saya dah tukar. Sebab the source of information is not from me only, from the student. Student pun bukan dapat information daripada saya sebab kita kata pergi cari. And then I kata you need to transform daripada dia baca-baca tu, dia nak keluarkan dalam bentuk slide kan, I make it more presentable, easy to understand, easy to digest for all your friends. Okay, this is what I did now. I transform my lecture, instead of giving the whole 15 weeks of lecture tu saya bagi, ada masa-masa dalam kuliah tu kita tengok topik lah kan, so kita bagi. This is what Dr. Azidah bagi tahu. Bila dia explain the things, bila dia discuss dengan kita, ada perkara-perkara yang kita boleh betulkan. Misleading dia, misconception dia, kita boleh betulkan. That's why kita kata peranan kita masih relevan. Adakah orang kata bila online learning ni, learners, instructor dah tak relevan, lecturer dah tak relevan? No. We are still relevant. Sebab nak kata mereka adapt, bukan adapt lagi. Kita masih pedagogi, bukan andragogi. We still need to guide the student. So we still need to guide, especially the content. Sebab information is too much, you know. So sometimes they don't know how to filter the knowledge. So this is our role actually to help the student in doing that. Okay. So this is what I'm doing in order to transform myself. Tapi saya mesti belum jadi seperti Dr. Azidah lah. Masih lagi, kalau dia dah berlari, masih lagi merangkak menjadi dia lah. Okay. So principle of connectivism, learning and knowledge rest in diversities of opinion. Bukan satu saja masa saya cakap dulu. Dulu pensyarah kita je seorang. Kalau saya dulu Prof. Ali Ahmad, dialah yang kita puja-puja. Kitab dialah yang kita pegang. But nowadays, no. So, dan kita pun tak marah bila student can give opinion. Which is we happy because they read, they get other information. And we also learn from our student, right? Learning is a process of connecting specialized nodes of information sources. Dia dapat maklumat daripada YouTube lah. Dia dapat maklumat daripada Google lah. Okay, contoh, I need them to explain about mastery learning. Okay, so in order to explain to the whole class about mastery learning, they get information from books, okay, from Google. Pakcik Google tu memang banyak lah. From Wikipedia, from YouTube video, from blogs, okay. See, learning is connecting specialized. So macam mana knowledge yang banyak-banyak tu dia masuk dalam kepala dia nak structurekan knowledge dia dan dia nak sampaikan. Okay, reside in non-human appliances. What do you think the challenge in connectivism? Okay, kita jawab nah. Capacity to know is more critical. Nurturing and maintaining connection is needed. Okay, alright. Dr. Azidah tanya. Saya tengok apa balik Dr. Azidah. Apakah cabaran? What is actually the challenge? Right, Dr. Azidah? You asking about the challenge in connectivism. Yes, okay. Apakah cabaran dalam melaksanakan pembelajaran connectivism? Okay, Dr. Rivani, could you give your opinion before I give my opinion? I would like to listen from Dr. Rivani.
Assalamualaikum Dr. Fazilah. Saya sebenarnya Elisha ni. Saya guna Dr. Rivani punya, nama kat sini. Maaf. Apa soalan Dr. Fazilah?
Soalan Dr. Azidah, apakah cabaran dalam connectivism lah?
Oh, okey.
Betul kan?
Jadi nak saya bagi pendapat saya ke?
Yes.
Oh, pendapat saya. Sekejap ya. Cabaran, kalau saya faham apa Dr. Azidah kata ni, cabaran dalam connectivism ni, saya rasa kita ni sebagai pensyarah, selalunya kita rasa lebih senang bagi lecture dari menjadi facilitator sebab kita melalui satu paradigma. Macam saya mengajar budak-budak postgraduate, saya tak ada ajar undergraduate. Jadi masalahnya dalam postgraduate punya paradigma pun budak-budak masuk mereka masih fikir spoon feeding. Dia orang tak ada masa nak buat apa-apa, jadi dia orang lebih suka mendengar dari membuat terlalu banyak kerja. Jadi dalam konteks macam video-video yang dipaparkan tadi itu, memerlukan pelajar yang gigih mencari connection tu dalam in all different platforms. So we need students who are active learners. That is where the vicious cycle. Kita nak ubah cara mengajar, tapi masih ada block di mana ada mungkin dalam kita punya platform pengajaran tu the culture budaya tu masih ada yang sesama kita yang masih spoon feed, tapi ada sesama kita nak pergi ke arah constructivism. Jadi dia bercanggah paradigma. Jadi challenge-nya ialah bila datang ke penghujung semester, kalau kita menggunakan constructivism pada tahap tinggi, ada yang mungkin pelajar-pelajar tak suka cara tu. Jadi itu cabarannya di mana kita draw the line where if you say untuk menjadi seorang guru atau pensyarah yang disukai pelajar, kata kita ikut paradigma tu, ada pelajar yang tak suka begini. Jadi but we have to understand also what is the main outcome as a lecturer learner is to facilitate learning. And itulah saya rasa cabaran dari perspektif saya lah.
Okay, so kalau I could grasp what Dr. Bagi tahu tadi is more on the attitude and culture lah yang which dah mold budak-budak tu lah. Okay, saya nampak Dr. Nazlin kat sini from PTPM. So good to hear from her lah, orang teknologi ni. Alright, Dr. Nazlin, could you say something, Dr. Nazlin? Dr. Nazlin? Dr. Andika? Dr. Andika nak cakap apa-apa tak? Tak ada juga. Dr. Nazlin, I love if we could hear words from Dr. Nazlin because she's from PTPM lah. Instead of Dr. Azida, which we will listen after this. Unfortunately, Dr. Nazlin tak tahulah on air ke tak on air ke. Dr. Andika, alright. Okay, so why connectivism? Kenapa kita kena, why we need to also apply connectivism in our class? Okay, this is because we are actually now with Gen Z. Hari tu Gen Y, sekarang Gen Z. Lepas ni kita tak tahulah 22nd century kita tak tahu nak panggil Gen apa. They are Gen Z. People calling them as a Gen Z. Why? So Gen Z is actually diverse. They are diverse. Diversity. They are living in a diverse world. Okay. And digital age. Okay. They are crowdsources. Sumber maklumat tu banyak mencapar-capar. So is it relevant yang kita masih lagi jadi instructor yang serba tahu sedangkan maklumat tu berada di mana-mana? Are we still want to maintain ourselves as the only informer to our student? Is it still valid? Right? Okay. Dunia dah diverse and digital age where crowdsource, sumber maklumat ni banyak-banyak macam kita kata di hujung jari. Nowadays bila if I watch berita malam, the only time I watch TV is tengok berita lah. So I knew what happened throughout the world kan, around the world. So kalau ada satu case yang kita tak tahu hujung pangkal, I will just call my daughter. Tin, tengok Sat apa case yang Datuk Niki ni Tin. Sebab kita tak tahu apa Datuk Niki, kita apa Datuk Niki. Betul ke ada gempa bumi sekarang ni kat Sumatera? Ya ke? Sat dia. Kita tunggu 2 minit, sat lagi dia datang explain kat kita. Macam kes Datuk Niki saya kata, profil tinggi macam tak pernah dengar. Apa kes Datuk Niki? Sat dia kata. Kita tunggu 5 minit, habis sat lagi dia datang cerita. Oh Datuk Niki punya cerita ni bla 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 bla. Daripada A sampai Z dia boleh explain. Where she got those information is actually from the web. Right? Because knowledge is everywhere sekarang ni. Tekan saja. Kita nak cari, sekarang ni nak beli barang sebab itulah Shopee boleh hidup. Tekan saja nak cari apa. I always ask my student, apa yang kita tak boleh jumpa dalam internet? Yang kita tak boleh jumpa dalam internet, saya jawab lah, saya tanya, saya jawab. 2 je yang kita tak boleh jumpa. Saya kata 2, anak saya yang kecil kata 5. Saya kata 2 yang saya tak boleh jumpa kat internet ialah mak dan ayah saya. I can type Amza, I can type Aziza. Akan keluar 1000 ke 100 Aziza Amza. Tapi sama tak dengan Amza dan Aziza saya? Will I make use of this Aziza and Amza that I found in the internet? No. I will stick on my Azizah and Hamzah lah, my only mother. Tu saja yang tak boleh nak jumpa di internet. Tapi benda lain semua boleh jumpa. Nak cari jodoh, nak buat kek sekarang ni. Dulu nak buat kek kita kena tengok buku resepi. Now nak buat kek pun senang. Anak kita pun pandai buat kek. To say lah kan. So information is crowdsourced. Information is actually everywhere. So adakah kita masih lagi nak jadi duduk kat situ macam burung kakak tua and giving all lectures to the student? Kan? Okay. So this is something that I ask myself dulu. Bila saya tengok student saya dah tak dengar dah bila saya bagi lecture. Selepas minit ke-40, the first 30 minutes, okay. Minit ke-31, minit ke-32, budak dah, cik doktor nak keluar dah, ada kelas lah, ada appointment. And you cannot control. Kalau kat sekolah dulu, we can control. University, we cannot control the student in and out, kan? And then nowadays children, they also like nowadays adult kan, nowadays student, they like to share. Semua share. Kan sebab tu they have Twitter lah, Instagram lah, semua lah. Why? Because they like to share. They share everything. Pasal diri dia makan apa pun dia bagi tahu kat orang sekarang ni. Dalam WhatsApp status lah, Instagram lah, kan keluar feed dekat Facebook lah. Because they are generation that love to share everything that they have. Dia ada boyfriend pun kita dah tahu dah. Dulu sampai tahun 5, tahun 4 baru kita tahu lah tu boyfriend dia ke, nak grad baru kita tahu. Lah ni tak, kan. So they love to share things with their friends, okay? And then they are hyper connected. Sangat connected. Sebab tu kita kata hyper connected, bukan macam kita lah. They are also digital native. They are born. Saya selalu cakap dengan pelajar-pelajar saya bila banyak bagi alasan, saya kata awak ni keluar perut keluar sekali dengan iPhone, dengan iPad, dengan smartphone. Kita dulu, kita ni bukan, kan kita ni immigrant. Mereka ni digital native. Dia keluar with the phone. Anak-anak kita keluar dengan telefon. Kecuali ada a few people here in USM, walaupun dia orang lama macam kita, veteran macam kita, but mak dia advance kot keluar phone masa dia lahir dulu kot. Like Dr. Azida and also Prof. Karim. Even they are about our age, but they are so, to say lah, very advanced in technology. Kita macam terhege-hege nak kejar dia, kita baru kejar satu, dia dah pergi ke B. Kita terhege-hege nak masuk B, dia dah pergi ke D dah. So they are very advanced. But nowadays students are actually like her, like them. They are actually like nowadays punya kids kan. Very into, saya muda lagi lah. Ya ke? Oh, macam tu saya pun muda lah sebab kita kan hampir sebaya. So they are digital native. They're born with those gadgets kan. And they are also techno-savvy. Macam saya kan. I need to learn, you know. Contoh paling cokiah lah contoh. I need to convert from Word to PDF to Word. Kena pergi tanya anak. Nanti macam mana? Budak-budak sekarang ni nak cari benda. Saya baru pakai Mac, terpengaruh dengan Dr. Azida, barulah tukar Mac setahun 2 ni. So when my first using Mac kan, orang tua beli Mac. Kalau beli Mac masa muda, lain cerita. Ni orang tua pakai Mac kan. Terhege-hege ni macam mana ni, setting dia kan sedikit berbeza. Semua panggil anak. Dia Google je kat situ. How to. Selesai masalah. Kan, so Dr. Zida pernah cakap, saya ni tak boleh bergantung dah dengan anak. Saya kata tak apalah, dia dah 3 semester online learning kan. So saya masih ada dia lah. Boleh bergantung. So nak cerita, they are very techno-savvy. Not my daughter. Our children are all techno-savvy. Semuanya di hujung jari, boleh cakap. Kadang-kadang, last time my daughter, my youngest, Mama, bla 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 nak tanya. Mama, bla 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 nak tanya. Tapi sekarang dia dah tanya kita dah. Kalau dia nak tanya, nanti dia cari siap-siap. Dia Google siap-siap. Nanti dia datang bagi tahu kita. Mama tahu tak bahawa kucing sebenarnya jangka hayat dia bla 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 bla. Dulu dia tanya kita, Mama kucing ni dia boleh makan sayur ke? Dia boleh makan makanan dia bagus karbo ke? Makanan dia bagus ikan. Kucing boleh makan nasi tak? Sekarang ni dia Google lah siap-siap. So nak cakap, children nowadays are actually techno-savvy. And they are also, again, they're surrounded by friends and also by their peers. Itulah Prof. Aman pakai Mac tahun 80-an lagi, dia ada duit. Zaman tu kita tak ada duit, kita merangkak-rangkak lagi Dr. Zida. So, looking at the characteristic of Gen Z, we have to ask ourselves, kita ni school lab punya Mac. Hebatlah school ada Mac zaman tu. Kita punya school sampai sekarang pun belum ada Mac. So Prof. Hairul kena letak Mac satu lah kot dekat lab kita supaya kita boleh towards the connectivism in kita punya learning approaches. So are we still relevant untuk jadi parrot kat depan tu? Because our customer now is Gen Z. Adakah kita masih lagi nak jadi Gen A? We need actually, nak tak nak, macam saya katalah macam jual ubat tadi. Kalau saya nak lakukan ubat saya, I need to look at my customer. So saya kena tailor ubat saya, air saya according to my customer. Saya nak jual pada Dr. Zida, saya tak boleh kata Dr. Zida, air ni ada vitamin Z, dia bagus untuk minda. Kita akan jadi cergas, kita akan jadi cerdas, kita cepat tangkap. Dia tak mau, dia dah tak mau dah cepat-cepat tangkap, bukan nak baca buku, nak exam dah kan. So saya pun cakap, Dr. Zida, air ni ada collagen. Kalau kita makan, hilang semua kedut-kedut halus di muka. So kita pun macam tu lah, that's the analogy lah. So kalau kita nak pastikan bahawa the process, the teaching and learning process itu berjalan dengan baik, we need to look at our customer, which is our student, and look at the way of our practice. So it's about time to say lah, we need also slowly, I'm telling myself also slowly change. Tu saya kata tadi, bila nak cerita pasal connectivism, the right person to tell about this actually Dr. Zida. This is actually her field. Prof Karim, Dr. Zida, they are way forward banding kita kan. So sebab tu saya kata connectivism is penting because of the characteristic of Gen Z nowadays that we are actually dealing and facing kan. Tak tengok student kita pun, kita tengok kat anak kita. So myself also as a mother also banyak dah transform. Sebab anak-anak dah cakap, mama macam ni dah tak sesuai lah, mama macam ni. Kan kita pun dulu pandai pakai tudung bawal je. Anak kita ajar pakai shawl lah, anak kita ajar pakai bokita lah. Kan dulu kita pandai satu pakai je. Tapi sekarang ni banyak kan. Okay. Then the main, okay, connectivism and action. Okay, this is what I did lah. Dr. Zida, please actually help me to explain further, or kalau saya ada mislead, help me on this. Okay. COVID last 2 semesters kan, suddenly COVID. So kita semua gelabah dan kita kena tukar. The 3 weeks vacuum, universiti tak boleh buat apa-apa. So lepas 3 minggu, kita semua tersentak dan senyap, and the university decided to change instead of the PDP kepada PDPR kalau sekolah lah. Tapi kita sekarang tu online teaching. So semua orang memanfaatkan e-learning. So saya rasa kalau tanya CDE sekarang ni, kebanyakan pensyarah sekarang ni dah sampai status blended lah. Kalau without COVID, this is one of the hikmah of COVID lah. So saya rasa dia transform lah kebanyakan pensyarah. Macam saya yang mungkin dulu pun agak bukan techno so savvy kan. So slowly I need also to change according to the situation and actually according to the winner. So how actually I plan my class connectivism. So this is what I'm using now. For each of my course, untuk satu kursus saya gunakan e-learn. It's a platform e-learn. So e-learn tu memang kita akan gunakan. Saya memang dah gunakan e-learn daripada dulu. Tapi kalau dulu sampai nak minggu ke-9, minggu ke-10, minggu ke-11 baru nak blended. Ni hari tu minggu ke-3, kursus saya dah blended dah. Menunjukkan banyaknya aktiviti yang kita buat melalui e-learn. It's a digital platform. It's a platform yang saya boleh gunakan to reach my student. Nak deliver content, nak share content with my student, okay. And the student also could also share information sebab bila kita buat forum dan sebagainya, nak tengok feedback semua orang, okay. E-learn. So awal-awal dah blended dah. This is the bless of COVID lah. The other side of COVID lah kan. So kita pun blended. So nak tunjuk betapa kita maximize the use the e-learn platform. And of course Webex kan. So kita gunakan Webex. Apa yang, okay, sekejap lagi nanti saya tengok komen lah. And also Facebook. For each of my course, saya wajibkan guna Facebook. Okay, one of my course sekarang ni ada satu kursus kaedah mengajar. Pelajar kena buat simulasi pengajaran. So macam semester lepas pun kena buat simulasi pengajaran. So kita buat kelas secara Webex, tutorial dalam Webex. So pelajar akan naikkan recording video dia. Dan kita semua tengok for that 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Dan kita akan start discussing about the teaching lah. Unfortunately, student kita kan diverse dari macam-macam tempat dan daerah. Sangat susah Webex. Lepas tu IPT, some of the student who actually tak boleh masuk Webex pun. Kan, so they consume a lot of data kan. So kita pun kesian kat diorang kan. It's a cost for them also. And then kalau yang bukan masalah cost, they are living in a place where connection is not that so good. So saya kata medium saya yang paling popular ialah Facebook. Dan sebab satu lagi Facebook kan, budak-budak ni memang 24/7 di Facebook and also Instagram. Saya tak ada Instagram, saya cuma ada Facebook. So dia 24/7 di Facebook. So saya rasa very effective. So kita buat macam kita punya minggu lah. So I post things in WhatsApp, sometimes also in Facebook. Kita bagi maklumat, dia akan masuk dalam Facebook dan kita semua boleh tengok, kita semua boleh kita semua boleh pada masa yang sama boleh tengok. So dia jadi macam synchronize juga. So selalunya kalau saya ada presentation, sekarang ni untuk presentation, we all akan buat watch party. So dia jadi macam synchronize lah, semua orang tengok serentak and then kita komen. So kalau ada masalah komen macam tu, kadang-kadang kita akan pindah daripada komen dalam Facebook, kita akan pindah komen tu dalam WhatsApp. So this is how I run my class now. Kebanyakannya memang saya, so apa benda pelajar nak hantar, macam saya kan banyak tugasan, dia nak kena, okay, one of this paper PPK 221 is they need to come up with an e-book story. So dia tak boleh tiba-tiba at the end of the semester hantar e-book, right? So the process of making e-book ialah dia kena buat storyline, storyboard dan sebagainya. So we use Facebook. So setiap kumpulan kita bagi duration masa. Okay, minggu ni saya nak bagi tahu tajuk, main character and theme and also the plot. So the process of building up the story. So we using the platform of Facebook. So saya pun senang. Bila Facebook ni dekat phone saya boleh buka. Masa senggang-senggang tengok TV, berita, nak buka puasa ke sekarang ni kan, dalam kereta dengan husband ke kan, kita boleh monitor dah budak punya kerja. So saya rasa dia dari satu segi dia memudahkan saya lah, Facebook kan. So kita boleh cepat bagi respon. Dan platform ketiga yang saya gunakan ialah WhatsApp. WhatsApp ni pun satu cara untuk saya monitor, sebab kita ada small group. I make sure bila kita kata tutorial, now you need to discuss in a group. So kita kata okay, I want you all to screenshot the discussion of the group, masuk dalam WhatsApp saya. So I could monitor lah yang kita harap lah sebab di luar kawalan saya. So this is one way how to monitor lah is through WhatsApp. So mereka akan ambil gambar, so issues that macam ni lah, satu group kumpulan 7 they have their own Webex session lah discussing about the e-book apa. So saya kata you kena paste up lah gambar dalam tu. And also sometimes mereka screenshot aja. And also sometimes how to monitor my student attendance during tutorial is saya post soalan dalam WhatsApp, nanti mereka akan respon. So saya kata is attendance is according to your answers, your response dalam Q&A kita. Sebab saya rasa macam nampak tak canggih tapi dia macam membantu untuk pelajar yang ada masalah talian dan juga masalah data lah. Saya rasa WhatsApp dan Facebook dia tak consume banyak sangat data. So this is what currently I'm using. Kan? So ini yang kita gunakan. Dan bagus juga WhatsApp ni sebab kadang-kadang bila pelajar present, kita nak komen kan. So bila dia present, kita komen. Saya sekarang ni pakai voicemail. Okay, saya nak kata, okay, yang pertama tu salahnya bla 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 bla. Yang kedua bla 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 bla. So ini cara kita filter information yang dia dapat. Sebab bila kita suruh cari maklumat, they get the information from all over kan, all sources kan. So bila dia present, inilah satu caranya kita boleh filter lah. Macam Prof Aziz dah cakap dari awal tadi, apa yang misconception kita boleh betulkan during presentation and memang on spot. So saya rasa WhatsApp adalah satu cara saya buat synchronize pembelajaran secara synchronize dan Facebook. Buat serentak sekali. Kita boleh buat sebab saya kata okay, sebab selalunya kalau tutorial pukul 11 sampai pukul 12, 2-3 minit sebelum kelas saya akan kata okay, tutorial kita bermula sekarang. Okay, budak-budak pun akan cakap okay doktor. So siapa yang present akan buat naik YouTube video dia. Kalau yang guna watch party lah. I always ask my student, which is your preference? Facebook ataupun WhatsApp? Okay, so ada yang kata, okay, ada yang masuk YouTube video dalam Facebook, WhatsApp. Okay, ada satu kursus ni, saya gunakan WhatsApp. So nanti dia akan naikkan kita 2-3 minit before class, I will always poke the student, bawa naik video, okay, the whole video is take about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes kan, nanti saya akan tanya, okay, dah habis tengok semua orang? So dia kata, okay, saya start tanya soalan. Okay, saya nak tanya apa yang dimaksudkan dengan alat berfikir FIP. Contohnya ada satu paper HTV saya. So nanti budak jawablah FIP bla bla bla. Okay, andai kata saya tanya soalan, jawablah. Ataupun kadang-kadang saya kata, okay, saya buka tu Q&A. So seorang tanya, doktor, apa maksud CAF? Saya akan tanya, okay, pembentang sila jawab. I don't answer, I don't respond. So kita tengok mereka punya respon, jawapan HTV is teknik berfikir kan. Bila mereka bagi idea, saya kata, okay, apakah idea lain untuk mengelakkan baju dicuri di asrama? Mereka bagi idea, Last baru kita simpulkan. That's how my class run during this COVID. And parallel, satu lagi kalau macam I just want to have like kita nak tahu apa basic concept yang dia ada. Basically saya selalu suruh dia throw dalam Padlet lah. So semua orang nampak apa yang semua orang faham. So I will start my lecture according what they understand. So bertitik tolak daripada saya dapat gambaran sedikit apa yang mereka faham. So I will readjust my lectures lah according their understanding lah. Yang satu lagi saya kata macam YouTube lah. Selalunya presentation tu sekarang ni saya kata YouTube kan sebab lebih mudah kan. So dia YouTube kan. Macam tu saya cakap lah. Beberapa minit, a few minutes before class start, dia bahkan naikkan YouTube video. So Fatin punya kelas, minggu ni Fatin punya presentation, so dia cakap okay, rakan-rakan saya telah memuat naik video. So berdurasi 20 minit. So minit ke-21 tu saya memang kata ni soalan. Okay, saya kata saya start buka kepada Q&A. Sebab I take attendance from there. I have class monitor. Saya kata ambil attendance, they know my rules. Awal-awal tahun, awal-awal semester saya dah bagi tahu, this is our platform. Okay, saya akan ambil kehadiran, bagaimana saya monitor your attendance. So sebab semester lepas, saya ada pelajar yang tak ada, dia tak menyaut pun dalam WhatsApp group. So kita consider dia tidak hadir lah. Tapi akhirnya dia cakap, doktor sebenarnya saya hadir, tapi saya tak sempat nak bercakap. Semua orang asyik bercakap je dia kata. Saya tak tahu saya nak selip ke mana. So saya kata tunjukkan bukti yang dia hadir. So dia tunjukkan dalam WhatsApp tu lah, dalam siapa yang ada partisipan aktif tu lah. Saya kata okay, fine. So this is how I want to monitor my class attendance lah, especially during tutorial. Lecture, sebab saya guna Webex, sometimes it depends. Lecture selalunya upload bahan dalam e-learn, saya bawa naik kadang-kadang YouTube video, saya punya rakaman slide dalam e-learn. Tapi how to monitor that the student attend, saya akan bagi task. Dan suruh dia berjawab. So kita bagi dia like short forum ke apa ke, sebenarnya kita tak ada markah pun, dia just to make sure that they listen to that. Kan, ataupun saya buat group, kita dah ada group dah and then kita suruh dia respons. This is how lah as much as we can to actually monitor and control. So this is how lah I structured my class. So for my PPK 221, I'm using e-learn. Kita ada Webex, kita ada Facebook PPK. This is semester lepas punya PPK 221. Semester ni pun ada PPK 221, salah screenshot. Okay, this is the 77 members. Is a private group because this is the number of the students. So we have also the WhatsApp group PPK 221 Dr. Fazila, Padlet and also YouTube. So this is how I applied connectivism in my class. Okay, so any question? It's almost 11 already. Okay, let me answer some of them. Check. Okay. Saya muda lagi. What do you think the challenge in connectivism? Okay, beberapa pandangan kita dah dengar tadi. I pakai Mac belajar programming first year. Okay. The main important skill is filtering info from the yes, betul Prof. Saya rasa ini kefahaman yang, saya rasa this is one of the challenge lah. Sebab student kita ni daripada sekolah dulu dia dah spoon feed dah sebenarnya. So kemahiran untuk menganalisis maklumat itu agak kurang bagi saya lah, pengalaman saya. So sebenarnya it's quite hard actually. Tapi slowly we have to teach lah. Itu saya rasa dalam assignment saya, one of the assignment, kalau sebab kita kan ada nak kena ikut MQA dan sebagainya, ikut berapa peratus pemberatan kerja khusus dan sebagainya. So how many words of assignment dia boleh come out kan. So we are actually terikat with those things. Tetapi in order to make sure that yang student saya dapat information, dan information tu dia faham, saya selalunya at the end of the essay, they need to come up with an infographic. Ringkaskan maklumat anda dalam bentuk satu infographic. So this is one way I do lah. Saya tak bawa naik infographic pelajar-pelajar saya. Saya rasa satu cara. Otherwise I will read copy and paste of assignment. Tapi bila kita tengok infographic, kita faham lah bagaimana dia faham knowledge tu. Sebab saya kata you have to choose an appropriate infographic to represent your content. Sebab ada infografik yang menunjukkan proses, ada infografik yang menunjukkan categorization kan. So they must choose a proper infographic to present their information. So it's actually one way to help me, to help my student lah, untuk pastikan yang dia boleh filter knowledge. Because in infographic, they only want, infographic tu tak banyak perkataan kan, sikit-sikit. So yang patut-patut ada je. Okay, apa yang student selalu buat copy paste saya betul saja untuk buat assignment. Betul Prof, sebab tu saya sekarang ni kebanyakan saya tak bagi writing assignment. Kalau saya bagi writing assignment, it should be a report of project. So macam saya punya TPK 221, instead of saya suruh dia buat assignment, I need them to come up with an e-book. Dia kena buat satu buku cerita. Sebab kursus ini adalah kemahiran membaca, menulis, mengira pelajar-pelajar pendidikan khas. So nak ajar kanak-kanak pendidikan khas membaca, menulis dan mengira. So I can ask them to write an assignment. So instead of writing an assignment, I need them to come up with an e-book. Okay, so dia kena buat satu e-book. Dulu before COVID, kita buat buku cerita yang tangible, yang boleh pegang. Pelajar saya buat buku cerita. We call it as story sets. Dia keluarkan satu buku cerita with some of the props of the story lah. So bila nak buat buku cerita tu, sebab saya kata dalam buku cerita tu, when you tell the story or when you tell story to the children, you could also teach mathematics, bahasa and writing there. So itu yang saya buat lah. So dia tak sedar bahawa dia ada tiga-tiga tu instead of writing assignment. Kalau writing assignment, so seboleh-boleh assignment saya selalunya saya projectkan. As long as I manage to achieve the course outcome. So saya akan projectkan, minta dia tengok. So macam ni sebab kemahiran baca. So dia kena membuat buku cerita dan buku cerita tu ada elemen. Contohnya macam sang gagak yang kehausan kan. So bila dia bercerita kat kanak-kanak tu, the language part, kemahiran membaca, the student could introduce few new words to kanak-kanak. So dia kena kenal pasti berapa perkataan baru untuk diajar kepada kanak-kanak. Contohnya paruh, kepak, kendi. This is unfamiliar words yang kanak-kanak tak jumpa dalam daily life. So they need to create a storybook or replicate a storybook and at the same time thinking of these three elements. So kalau membaca contohnya benda macam tu lah. So my component of membaca, I could introduce new words to my children. So component mathematics while telling a story to the children, sebab burung gagak tu kan dia haus, dia nak minum air tak sampai kan paruh dia. So dia masukkan batu. That's why the mathematics coming in. So bila masukkan batu tu, we ask the children to actually count with us. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why the mathematics coming in. So for the menulis part is where at the end of the story, the children could colour ke, write a word paruh ke, matching gambar dengan perkataan. That one is a writing exercise. So this is what I do in order to avoid my student with copy and paste assignment. Kalau assignment yang memang kena tulis an essay, explaining a concept of ataupun things related macam tu, saya akhirnya minta dia simplify the assignment, the 5, 6, 7 pages of writings into 1 page of infographic. So jadi supaya dia boleh keluarkan infografik kan dia kena analisis content tu, dia kena baca betul-betul kan. Jadi even kalau katakan dia copy and paste tu barulah dia menggunakan otak dia. Kalau tidak dia tak gunakan otak dia, dia copy paste saja. Sebab at the end dia kena come up with the infographic. Kalau lecturer tak familiar dengan all sources of info, tak pernah visit ke, nampak dia orang punya assignment bagus-bagus lah grade A, namin fake info pun dia orang copy. Betul lah, betul. Alright, so kalau kita nak plan kita punya learning towards the instructor, behaviorist, connectivist, constructivist, again kena tengok balik perancangan kursus lah. Okay, tengok learning objective and then kita identify kita punya learning taxonomy, cognitive, attitude and psychomotor. And then dari situ baru we can create learning activities that suit to kita punya learning objective lah. Alright. Recap. Okay, I have around 10-15 minutes left. Okay, we learn about 4 learning theories, which are behaviorism, connectivism is focused more on the teacher-centered. So teacher as instructor and learner a passive recipient of knowledge. Teacher masih ada, learner masih ada, but the role is different. So behaviorist because of focus on the behavior modification. So the connectivist not agree. So dia kata otak tu lebih penting. That's why the connectivist coming in, Piaget and everything. Piaget, Dewey. So they are against the behaviorist. So connectivist coming in. So when the connectivists are emphasized more on the mental structure, so the constructivist people coming in, the psychologists and constructivists, they kata no, because each human actually unique. They have their own attitude, belief with them. and they are also living in an environment. So we have to consider those whatever have with the student and the interaction the student with the environment, persekitaran dia kan, because these ada impact yang sangat kuat kepada learning process. That's where the constructivist coming in. Sebab mengambil kira kepada faktor-faktor lain in order to construct meaning is not only what in head but actually what is also in environment, persekitaran. And then pengaruh rakan, orang guru, capable people helps in the learning. And then that's mark another shift in learning theories when the education transformed to the 21st century education. Memang knowledge itu berada di mana-mana, sources of information is banyak. So kita beralih kepada connectivism. So daripada these 4 learning theories, from the student teacher-centered approach, mula-mula for the first 2, teacher memainkan peranan yang sangat penting. Sangat penting. Teacher need to guide, okay, instruct, design everything for the student. And slowly our role as instructor dah bertukar. Instead of as instructor, kita dah jadi facilitator. Kita facilitate the learning. Okay, kita guide, kita. So saya rasa untuk memudahkan, we must always bagi kita punya own guideline. Apa benda yang kita nak, kita bagi tahu framework yang kita mahu kan, dia punya border kerja kita macam mana kan. And learner are active knowledge makers. They make meanings. Okay. Behaviorism ini adalah ciri-ciri dia instructor focus. Because of instructor focus, dia drill and practice. Okay, visual tool, multiple choice and essay assessment. Dia drill tool sebab tu kita rasa macam dulu kan, zaman kita sekolah dulu banyak sangat latih to be. Sebab kita percaya itu cara manusia belajar. And then constructivism is more on the discovery learning, project based, program based, okay. And connectivism collaboratively create knowledge sebab kita ada learning groups and kita are living in a world of where information is actually everywhere. Crowdsource kan, maklumat tu banyak. So this is again comparison of the learning theories, okay. Behaviorist black box sebab tu dia gunakan eksperimen anjing dan juga tikus kan. Sebab dia tak emphasize langsung kepada otak kan. And then connectivist is computer model, so dia kata otak kita macam komputer. Sebab itulah kalau macam orang yang hantar anak pergi tuition tu orang constructivist lah, connectivist lah. Dia bagi information banyak-banyak sebab dia percaya lagi banyak anak dia belajar, lagi banyak anak tu tahu. Macam kita lah, macam kita lagi banyak that what happened masa kita punya school time dulu. Computer model, lagi banyak kita bagi and then lagi pandai kita structure the knowledge kan. Kita retain dalam bentuk yang pelbagai, kita lagi bagus kan. Constructivist is creation of knowledge and connectivist is networking and connection. Okay. So this is again ciri-ciri how learning occurs. Okay. What influence, role of memory dan sebagainya. Okay. So I would like to end up my lecture by showing this diagram lah. Why we need to actually transform from, not to say transform, but I say in my personal view, in a teaching, we should actually blend the whole 4 theory together. Sebab bila saya minta pelajar buat project, if I ask them to do a project, okay, they need to find information from all over the world, from all over the sources. That's where the connectivism coming in. Okay, they are actually discussing among them. That's where the constructivist coming in because the interaction, okay, the discussion, okay. So the ZPD assimilation, accommodation happen. But as an instructor also, I need also to motivate my learners, okay. By bila dia dah buat kerja tu bagus, kita akan kata, yes, bagus, pandai pun, hebat. So there's always a behaviorist also, you know. You need to actually motivate. So supaya dia rasa yang dia buat tu, kita appreciate and kita acknowledge kerja dia. Dan sebab tu bila student kita present, kita kata, yes, good, okay, next group, okay, good, okay, right, okay, Fatin, good, Fatin. So the behaviorist is also coming in. Tapi kita tak jadikan behaviorist tu sebagai utama lah. But the reward system is always there lah to motivate. The grade itself is a reward system. Bila budak tengok dia punya grade, is a reward system actually. And they are actually doing these some things not for the purpose of getting knowledge sometimes. We are actually afraid of. Sebab dia nak dapat grade. So at least by doing connectivism and constructivism, walaupun dia nakkan grade, tapi dia melakukan sendiri. They are actively involved in the learning process. Instead of kita tuang semua information, ujung semester kita bagi exam, kita suruh dia jawab dan kita bagi grade. Yang ni kita tak bagi information, kita guide, okay, kita bagi tahu, okay, tengok link ni ke apa ke, ni, kita suruh dia buat projek apa semua. Kita suruh dia present, at least they went through the process of learning to gaining the knowledge, structuring the knowledge, they receive the information. So how they structure the information dalam bentuk teks tu kita minta ditukarkan dalam bentuk grafik dan sebagainya. So the cognitive process also berlaku dalam diri dia. So bagi saya, in my personal view, in a teaching, we should actually connect the whole four theories together lah untuk dapat satu pengajaran yang saya rasa mantap dan terbaik lah saya rasa. Because we want a meaningful learning experience for the student. Sebab saya rasa kalau kita ikut pyramid of learning ni, okay, kalau kita hanya memberi lectures, average retention rates dan satu lagi sejauh mana maklumat itu kekal kan. Kalau kita bagi kuliah, 5% saja pelajar tu akan ingat. Tetapi apabila mereka buat by teaching others and practice by doing, which is this is proposed in constructivist and connectivist learning theory, kita suruh dia bincang, dia ajar kawan-kawan dia, the retention of knowledge is higher, 75% to 90%. Sebab kita suruh dia buat sendiri. Dia faham, dia lalui the whole process itu. So if according to pyramid of learning ataupun kalau asalnya adalah Dale cone of experience, cone pembelajaran Dale, Dale memaklumkan kepada kita, Dale ni tahun lama dah, 60 something. Tetapi masih lagi, bagi saya lah, masih lagi boleh digunakan lah sedikit sebanyak dalam pembelajaran. Sebab betul, kalau kita ajar orang, kita lebih. Sebab tu kita jadi pensyarah ni makin lama makin pandai kot kan. Sebab kita asyik cakap benda yang sama. So bila kita nak buat lecture sebenarnya, kan every time, every semester even we are teaching the same paper. So kita tak guna, kita gunakan lecture kita yang sama, tetapi selalunya a day before lecture kita akan buka balik lecture notes kita dan kita reflect balik apa yang kita dah ajar and then feedback from the student hari tu kita dapat kita akan betulkan. Kita mesti akan ada 1-2 slide kita buang atau 1-2 slide kita tambah atau 1-2 slide content dalam tu kita perbaiki. Kan? So because of by teaching our student pun kita gain extra knowledge. Okay. Practice by doing dengan kita buat. So sebab tu kita nak kata menggalakkan bahawa ambil balik kata kunci yang Dr. Azidah kata tadi, empower the learners. Biar dia yang jadi the driver of the car. And so kita duduk kat sebelah tu, kita tengok aje. Kalau kita duduk bawa kereta hari-hari, kita suruh anak kita duduk walaupun dia ada lesen, saya rasa dia punya kemahiran memandu tu tak akan pergi ke mana lah. Tetapi kalau kita duduk kat sebelah, watching them, they experience like macam behavioris lah kita kata, dia tahu proper, improper punya action kan, stimulus response, dia akan belajar untuk bawa kereta tu dengan baik lah. So by doing, by doing the driving, so they gain the experience. Kita cakap okay, sebenarnya kena bagi nak kena tarik brake, tapi bila dia buat sendiri tak sama berbanding kita bagi tahu dia, kita lecture. Okay, nak bawa kita kena macam ni. Tetapi kalau kita suruh dia buat sendiri, dia akan dapat. Besok bila dia ada adik dia bawa kereta, dia duduk pula kat sebelah. Dia boleh pula ajar adik dia macam mana nak bawa kereta. So the knowledge, retention of knowledge is much higher. So itu yang kita nak galakkan. Kenapa we need to shift from the student teacher-centered to student-centered learning. So tepuk dada, tanya selera. So before I end, I would like to actually look at some of the apa yang student so how online learning change the previous understanding of the 4 theories. Any studies being done? Alamak, hai. Dr. Azidah boleh tolong jawab soalan ini. Has online learning change the previous understanding of the 4 theories? Adalah writing sikit-sikit kan, tapi saya nak tengok fokus on Okay.
So kalau nak jawab the question on how how has online learning changed the previous understanding of the 4 theories? Okay, actually even in online learning we use all the theories. meaning that we actually, like Dr. Fazila mentioned just now, right? Although when we use connectivism, okay, as a base of online learning, we still actually uses the behaviorists, okay, to motivate learners. For example, we also implement cognitivists. We also implement, especially many of us actually applied constructivists in online learning. So I think there are many researches on that meaning has been conducted. Kalau we Google, we go to Google Scholar and so on, we will be able to find researches on how online learning are being done based on the theories. However, for me myself, I am actually a very constructivist and connectivist lah. I use many constructivists within the connectivist environment, meaning that I try to make sure that the students construct their meaning, their knowledge, okay, within the constructivist environment, but I empower them to use a lot of tools, okay, connect with each other so that they will be able to construct meaning from the activities, the teaching and learning activities. Okay, I think that I would like to actually answer, okay, reflect or to what Dr. Adisha, I think, all right, Dr. Adisha,
Yeah.
okay, she mentioned about teaching postgrad connectivists might not be suitable to teach postgraduate students, right? So I would like to, I beg to differ on that, right? Because I think that I have done that in the offshore class, okay? The offshore class, it was in 2015 to 16, I think. It was in College Matrikulasi Pulau Pinang. Yeah, okay. So it was the offshore class was on Saturday, all right, Saturday, and they had class in the morning for 4 hours, and they had another class for 4 hours in the afternoon, all right. So what happened was, all right, my class was at one day it was like in the afternoon at 2 p.m. So after they had the 4-hour class in the morning, so during my class, it was a postgrad offshore program. So during my class, when I came in, I just give them tasks, all right? I give them tasks and I give them something to do, but I limit, okay? The important thing in constructivist is you need to limit the student. You don't give a topic and ask them to go and Google whatever. You need to give a limit so that, okay, you need to go to this page, and you compare this page and you do the activity based on what I instruct them to do. Okay, what happened after 4 hours of class, right? They were lecturers in College Matrikulasi. So Saturday was, they have been teaching throughout the week, and then weekend they had to attend class. So what happened was, in my class, after they had this 4-hour session, interactively using connectivist approach, they told me, okay, they asked me, Dr. Azida, if possible, can you ask the previous lecturer in our previous class in the morning to do this method, to use this method, all right? Don't give lectures during the class. The previous class was research methodology, all right? Research method. So, they said that it was really tiring. We are adult learners, when the lecturers give lectures in class, they could not focus, all right? But when we give them some activities, they will be able to do, and they realize that 4 hours is like nothing, okay? And they say, oh, dah habis masa ke doktor? Okay, 4 jam habis dah, begitu je, alright? So it was like when you ask them to do something meaningful to them, okay, you will be able to catch their attention, whether they are adult learners. Okay, so that's why I beg to differ. As well, even if we are teaching postgraduate students, we need to actually change, okay, our mindset first. Okay, as lecturer, we need to change our mindset first. Okay, adult learners cannot learn from connectivists. They like to listen. Okay, have you do a research that adult learners like to listen only to lectures. All right, and I did this a lot in my postgraduate students because I am teaching a lot of postgraduate courses compared to undergraduate courses. So I think both undergraduates and postgraduates need to be empowered for their own learning. Okay, so even now we are teaching online. You know, when I enter the WebEx class, okay, and especially my class is at 5 p.m. now during Ramadan, so I was struggling because I need to cook and so on, right? So I give them tasks to do. I give some overview of the topic, and then I ask them to, for example, read articles and then do infographic from the articles and so on, and then we discuss after buka puasa and so on. All right, so it is easier for me as a facilitator. All right, and it is actually engaging for the students. That's why we need to change our mindset and try to be a connectivist lecturer. Okay, so yeah, that is my actually opinion on connectivist. Thank you, terlebih pula cakap.
Itulah, overrule dah. It's okay, Dr. Zida. Thank you. Okay. So, maybe Prof. Hairul would like to say something, our Dean? Prof? Prof adakah lagi?
Tak ada dah lah, Dr. Fazila.
Oh, dah tak ada dah. Okay. So, thank you for today lectures, sharing. So, I would like to end up my session today with this quote. Education is not the feeling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. So, this is actually our role. Like Dr. Zida in her speech lah to say kan, dia punya opinion tadi, dia kata betul. Lebih mudah jadi facilitator daripada kita menjadi teacher. Sebab kita facilitate the learning, sebab saya rasa mudah pada umur yang nak masuk 50 ni, tenaga dah tak banyak dah sebenarnya kan. So, putting much effort dan energy untuk lecture ni penat bagi saya. So, kita masih lagi letak effort kita bila kita come up with the lecture notes and everything kan. Tetapi pada masa yang sama kita empower pelajar supaya bukan kita menurunkan beban pengajaran kita kepada mereka, tetapi kita memberi tanggungjawab belajar tu kepada mereka lah. So bila kita bagi dia tanggungjawab tu, dia ada rasa ownership to their learning lah. And it will contribute to meaningful learning experience, which is itu sebenarnya yang diperlukan oleh pelajar. So again, thank you to CDE for inviting me for the sharing. Thank you very much. Dan jangan lupa isi kehadiran untuk CPD. Terima kasih semua. Terima kasih kepada Puan Wani kerana tolong entertain daripada awal. Terima kasih Dr. Zida. Terima kasih Prof. Farhan dan terima kasih semua. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Thank you, Dr. Fazila, okay, for your 2 sessions with us, CDAE and USM. All right, so thank you very much. I hope that everybody has actually have a clear view on what the learning theories underpinning our teaching and learning actually. All right, actually the learning theories actually will help us to be more alert to what we do in our class actually, and that it also shapes our teaching philosophy. All right, so we are educators, and I think that we need to actually know what is our teaching philosophy, what are the philosophy underpinning our teaching and learning every day, okay, with our student and within ourselves. How do we learn and how we expect our students to learn? And remember, our students are all have different learning styles. Okay, we don't just go to class and give lectures because some of our students are visual learners, for example. Some are auditory. Okay, some are kinesthetic students. Okay, so they like to do something. They have to do something to learn. So we as lecturers must aware of that. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Fazila, for a very good session. 2 good sessions with us. All right. So for all participants, thank you for being here today. And then please kindly fill up the feedback forms in the chat box. All right. So the link will be active for only 30 minutes. Okay. And thank you very much again for attending and have a good day. Happy Ramadan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And
Salam.
good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, Steve. Good morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Okay,
Thank you, Dr.
Assalamualaikum.
Fazila.